The horizon is a blur, and the elder's anger hangs in the air like winter frost. The moment you see what they see, the line is already crossed. A chain of events, silent for centuries, now begins to click into place. So if you feel that same pull into the unknown, like the video and subscribe, and step forward. Because what happens next has waited centuries to unfold. Feiyan was stunned for a moment, following Xia Chaoge's gaze, but could only see the vague horizon. Jin Zhongming also looked over. He didn't discover anything and praised. I have long heard that junior sister Xia has divine eyes. So, the rumors are true. Then this person is extremely fortunate. He must have discovered a group of beast kings at the first level of core formation. Liang Feiyan agreed deeply. Her eyes also showed a look of envy, and she said, the fourth level of core formation is a beast king, and the first layer of core formation is also a beast king. The merit obtained from killing them is the same, but the difficulty of killing them is worlds apart. Encountering a group of beast kings at the first level of core formation is simply divine luck. Her gaze turned. Liang Feiyan smiled and said, why don't the three of us join in as well? Jin Zhongming immediately agreed, snorted lightly. Since he can only chase but can't keep the beast king group, it means he is not strong enough. He can't handle this monstrous merit. If he can't do it, then we'll take over. After speaking, the two of them looked at Xia Chaoge to see if she was willing to join. Xia Chaoge looked at the beast group, her pupils turning a faint blue. After a moment, she shook her head slightly and said, I'm not going, and I don't recommend you go either. Jin Zhongming laughed softly. Junior sister Xia doesn't think we can't handle a group of beast kings at the first level of core formation, right? He thought it was because he almost died at the hands of that fourth-level core formation beast. That made Xia Chaoge somewhat look down on him. Xia Chaoge said softly, that group of beasts is not at the first layer of core formation. They are at the fourth and fifth layers. Crunch, Liang Feiyan's palm trembled fiercely. The demon core she was holding smashed onto the ice, making a crunching sound that echoed clearly in the dead silent scene. The fourth and fifth layers of core formation beast kings? A group? He couldn't help but shiver. Just one fourth layer almost cost him his life. If a group stood in front of him, just thinking about it made him break out in a cold sweat. Jin Zhongming also inhaled a breath of cold air. A group of beast kings at the fourth and fifth layers of core formation. Suddenly, he recalled what Xia Chaoge had said earlier. Are you saying there's someone chasing after a group of beast kings at the fourth and fifth layers of core formation? Xia Chaoge nodded slightly. I wasn't sure just now. Now I can confirm because he has now killed a fourth-level core formation beast. Hiss, Jin Zhongming and Liang Feiyan gasped at the same time. What kind of terrifying strength would it take to chase a group of beast kings at the fourth and fifth levels of core formation? And, in such a short time, to kill one more? Jin Zhongming said. Could it be an elder who took action? Liang Feiyan also said. It can only be so. Among our peers who has such terrifying power, even Xia Chaoge couldn't have such strength. In a one-on-one fight, Xia Chaoge had no problem killing a fourth-level core formation beast. Killing a fifth-level core formation beast might also be possible, but to chase after a group of beast kings at the fourth and fifth layers of core formation, that would be impossible. And among the current generation, Xia Chaoge's strength was unparalleled. Xia Chaoge tried her best to use her eye technique to see the person taking action, but the other party was always in an invisible state. She shook her head slightly and said, it may not be an elder. Currently, the elders have not officially joined the battlefield. The main force on the front line is still our sect disciples. This person is more likely to be a disciple. Liang Feiyan pondered. If it is a disciple, then it can only be a disciple of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. The disciples of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion are eyeing the merit rewards and can't sit still. Many have already taken the opportunity to leave the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion and come to this battlefield. Xia Chaoge looked at him, puzzled. The merit list is only open to disciples of the Nine Sect. Even if they killed the demon beasts, they wouldn't get any merit points. As if understanding her confusion, Liang Feiyan sighed helplessly. The rules are dead, but people are alive. The demon cores they obtain indeed can't be exchanged for any resources, but they can give them to a Nine-Sect disciple and have the merit counted under his name. When they want to exchange for resources, that disciple can step in for them. Giving a bit of benefit to the Nine-Sect disciple is enough. Many disciples are willing to cooperate with them. After all, who wouldn't want to befriend those prodigies from the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion? Jin Zhongming showed an angry look. There's such a thing. Isn't the heavenly mechanism pavilion's resources enough for them? Do they really need to compete with us nine-sect disciples? I will definitely report them. Liang Feiyan gave a bitter smile. Since they dare to do this without fear of punishment, they must have elders backing them up. Reporting them as disciples is useless. Moreover, looking at the vaguely disappearing beast tide, he said helplessly, some merit only they dare to earn. Given to us, we may not dare to go. Hearing the last two sentences, Jin Zhongming, too, felt deflated like a pricked balloon. The heavenly mechanism pavilion disciples breaking the rules was indeed wrong. But he had no right to be jealous of their ability to chase and kill beast kings at the 5th and 4th levels of core formation for merit. Xia Chaoge had no particular emotion about it. She watched the beast tide fade into the distance, slowly withdrew her gaze and said, before I came here, I observed that the demon energy over the sky-breaking canyon was soaring. There must be many demon beasts that have penetrated the defense line. Let's go over and take a look. Upon hearing this, Jin Zhongming and Liang Feiyan's eyes lit up. The three immediately headed towards the sky-breaking canyon. Speaking of Liang Feiyan, he chased after the beast kings all the way. In a few days, he had killed 5 core formation 4th-level demon beasts. That equated to another 100 merit points. The beast tide ahead had been reduced to just 2 beast kings at the 4th level of core formation by him. The 2 beast kings trembled in fear, hiding under the protection of a group of beast kings at the 5th level of core formation, not daring to be alone, for fear that Liang Feiyan might appear out of nowhere and kill them with one sword stroke. Black Swamp had mostly recovered. It counted the remaining beast kings. It found that, including itself, only 5 were left. When they came, there were 15 of them. As a result, including the leader Xia, 10 of them had been lost in enemy territory. Only 5 stragglers were left, fleeing in disgrace. What made Black Swamp more sorrowful and angry was, of the 10, 9 had died at the hands of a human clan junior. It was simply a huge humiliation. Of course, it was absolutely unwilling to stop and fight Liang Feiyan to the death. The soul-shocking stab that had nearly taken its life once, it didn't want to experience a second time. It suddenly raised its head, looking at a small ice mountain ahead. Standing on it were 7 mysterious humans wearing black robes and masks carved with star and moon patterns. They quietly looked down at the arriving beast kings. There was a faint smile in their eyes. Black Swamp immediately felt a chilling sensation, shouting, "Caution! There are human powerhouses." The most dangerous one it even felt was not inferior to Xia. Soon after, Liang Feiyan leisurely caught up. He had already planned to give up the chase. The remaining 2 beast kings at the 4th level of core formation were so well protected. The chances to strike were extremely rare. Rather than waste time on them, he might as well go to the front line and kill the enemy. But suddenly, he felt a huge combat fluctuation. He couldn't help but be surprised. Did the beast kings encounter human powerhouses? He quickly went over, but the scene he saw from afar made his pupils contract. 4 huge beast king corpses lay on the snow. 2 of them were the 2 beast kings at the 4th level of core formation. The other 2 were at the 5th layer of core formation. 6 people in black clothes and mysterious masks stood on the corpses, gazing northwards. Soon after, a tall figure, also in the same attire with silver-white long hair, walked over with hands behind his back. He seemed to be walking, but with each step the ground underfoot seemed to shrink, closing the distance. It had the flavor of the legendary shrinking land into inches. "Senior Brother Jian, did you catch that pangolin demon?" The 6 were very respectful to him. Jian Linyuan smiled gracefully, casually throwing a yellowish demon core to the speaker. The 6 showed smiles. As expected of Senior Brother Jian, even with its earth attribute making it extremely tricky, you managed to kill that pangolin demon. Jian Linyuan slightly shook his head. It had its soul injured and lost half its combat power. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been easy to keep it. Suddenly, his gaze behind the mask narrowed slightly, sighing softly. "You all make me worry too much. Someone has arrived and none of you noticed." What? The 6 of them were taken aback. Immediately, they became alert and guarded their surroundings. But all around was a vast expanse of white mist with no signs of any living beings. Jian Linyuan seemed to see through everything as he stared at Liang Feiyan. "There's no need for you to hide. The demon race aura around you is almost tangible." Liang Feiyan was astonished. Someone actually saw through the turtle breath cloak. Even powerful figures like Fan Xingkang and Xia couldn't see through it. Thinking about it, Liang Feiyan decided not to hide anymore. He took out and put on the No One Shadow guard mask, then removed the turtle breath cloak, revealing his true self. "There's really someone? Who are you, and what do you mean by sneaking up on us?" The six of them more or less showed hostility. Jiang Fan remained calm and said, "I have been chasing this group of beast kings all the way here. Since you have intercepted and killed them, all the better. Farewell." Swoosh, he was just about to leave. A woman with a graceful figure, whose full body couldn't be hidden even by her wide black robe, leapt over dominantly, blocking Jiang Fan's path. The peach blossom eyes under her mask showed a hint of suspicion. Leaving without making things clear, she examined Jiang Fan up and down and said, "You were chasing this group of beast kings. With just you? This excuse is hard to believe. I'm giving you one last chance to explain yourself. Why were you following us?" They were Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples. This time they came to the battlefield secretly and did not want anyone to discover their identities. Yet Jiang Fan had been hiding nearby, acting suspiciously, and he gave the ridiculous excuse of chasing beast kings. How powerful were these beast kings? None of the six of them dared to hunt them alone. This person in front of them, even though wearing a mask, appeared to be roughly their age. How could he have such strength? Clearly lying, Jiang Fan, with hands behind his back, said calmly, "How can I make you believe me?" The voluptuous woman sensed a hint of provocation. She squinted her crystal-clear eyes and said, "Simple. Just take one of my palms." She wanted to see what extraordinary strength did this person possess to dare to challenge someone from Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. As soon as she finished talking, she took action decisively. The spirit power of the third level of core formation surged into her palms, and she shot them furiously at Jiang Fan. Flood Dragon's Hand, a lower-level earth technique palm strike with considerable power blasted towards Jiang Fan's chest. Jian Linyuan quietly observed without saying a word. The other five had smirking expressions. This guy is really bold to act cocky in front of junior sister Shang. It's well known that junior sister Shang's temper is as strong as her chest. I bet this guy is a 9-sect disciple, right? Aside from Xia Chaoge, Jin Zhongming, and Liang Feiyan, most others couldn't withstand junior sister Shang's strike. They chatted and laughed relaxedly. In their minds, they already pictured Jiang Fan being struck with a palm and coughing up blood. However, with a crackling noise, the scene reflected in their eyes was an entirely different picture. Shang Shikyu spat blood, her delicate body flying backward like a butterfly. "Junior sister Shang?" A tall man in black, his face changed, quickly leaped out. He caught her by the back in one swoop. Even so, he was also staggered backward several steps by the tremendous power, almost causing both of them to tumble to the ground. Everyone was astonished. Shang Shikyu's strike wasn't something even Jin Zhongming could handle so easily, right? The Flood Dragon's Hand she used was a well-known powerful technique among lower-level earth techniques. How could it be broken so easily, and to get injured? Looking at Jiang Fan, not a trace of spirit power was revealed, relying solely on his physical strength. Jiang Fan withdrew his fist expressionlessly and said plainly, "Satisfied now?" Facing someone deliberately causing trouble, he never held back. "You," Shang Shikyu bit her bloodied lips in both shame and anger. She had thought that as a Tianji Pavilion disciple, dealing with a 9-sect disciple would be easy. Who knew she'd end up embarrassing herself? HMPH. The man supporting her with a hint of annoyance unleashed his 4th level of core formation cultivation without reservation. "You have quite the attitude, kid. Do you dare to act cocky again just as before?" 4th level of core formation. This group sounded very young. Since when did such powerful people emerge from the 9-sect? Jiang Fan felt puzzled. At this person's provocation, he felt uninterested. "What's wrong with you all? I chased the demon beasts here, but you self-righteously think I followed you, wanting to test my strength. After the test, realizing I was genuinely here for the demon beasts, you're still not letting it go. What's your problem?" Jiang Fan shook his head, finding their behavior somewhat incomprehensible. If they intended to rob Jiang Fan, it would be understandable. But they weren't. The man was tongue-tied for a moment. How could he say that Jiang Fan's action had humiliated them as Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples? "HMPH, stop babbling, I just don't like you and want to spar with you, is that wrong?" With that, he attacked directly. Heart-shattering finger. A lower-level earth finger technique, it erupted with considerable power. One could vaguely see a white finger force piercing through the air at Jiang Fan. Unfortunately, it was just the first move. Having not mastered more advanced techniques, Jiang Fan was different. Though both were earth techniques, he'd already mastered the final move of the heavenly ruined finger. Regretful dragon, with a casual finger, multicolored light gathered at his fingertip. It transformed into a colored beam, piercing the air, meeting the man's finger force. With a puff, the white finger force dispersed like mist before the colored beam. What? The man was alarmed. He quickly dodged. Bang, the beam struck the demon beast's corpse where the other 4 heavenly mechanism pavilion disciples stood. With a loud bang, the demon beast's back exploded on the spot. The 4 heavenly mechanism pavilion disciples, the fast runners, were in disarray. The slow runners got splattered with blood and mud. This completely enraged them. Outrageous! A woman drenched in blood and mud screamed angrily. Her soaked black clothes clung stickily to her body, outlining her slender waist and full chest clearly. "Let me take care of you," she erupted with terrifying 5th level of core formation aura. "Enough," hands behind his back, Jian Linyuan calmly said. "You won't necessarily be his match." As he spoke, his gentle gaze, with a trace of curiosity, examined Jiang Fan. "Previously, I only knew of a few notable prodigies from the 9-sect land. Unexpectedly, there are hidden talents like you. Truly surprising." Jiang Fan looked at him. Among these people, Jiang Fan only felt threatened by this man, but there was no need to fear. In a real life-or-death battle, who would live or die was still uncertain. "What do you all want?" Jiang Fan asked indifferently. Jian Linyuan said, "Just now, junior sister Shang merely wanted to test your strength with no ill intentions. It's just a small misunderstanding, don't mind it." He spoke lightly. Jiang Fan had enough strength, but if he didn't, wouldn't he have been injured by Xianxia for nothing? Their arrogance was almost visible on their faces. "This is not just a misunderstanding." The woman, drenched in blood and mud, refused to let it go. How could she accept that she might not be a match for this person? Angrily pointing at her blood-stained clothes, she demanded, "Fight me, and I won't make you pay for these clothes." "Or else," Jiang Fan couldn't help but laugh. "Or else what? Do you want me to wash them clean for you?" The woman's face reddened, angrily saying, "Impudent. I just ask if you'll fight or not." Continuously being pushed to fight, Jiang Fan was also starting to get annoyed. He scanned the group of arrogant youths whose eyes were practically ablaze and said, "Looks like you're not the only one itching for a fight with me. But I don't like fighting people for no good reason." As he spoke, he casually pulled out 5 demon cores. Every single one was at 4th level core formation. "I figure you're here for the demon cores too. Let's make this practical, let's bet on them. If you win, you get all 5 of these cores. If you lose, you owe me 5 cores." Xianxia sprang to her feet, ready to accept the challenge. But someone grabbed her arm. "Junior sister Shang, calm down. Look at the cores in his hand first before deciding." Xianxia focused her gaze on the cores. Her pupils shrank abruptly. 4th level core formation demon cores, all 5. She swallowed a tiny gulp of saliva. The defiance she felt earlier vanished entirely. Until now, she had always believed that her humiliating defeat was due to carelessness, an underestimation of this person. She thought a rematch would be nothing like her prior embarrassment. But now, such thoughts were completely extinguished. The expressions of the others shifted as well, losing their earlier arrogance. 5 4th level core formation demon cores. Jiang Fan had casually taken them out as if they were nothing, far from being his limit. Nobody could guarantee how many 4th level core formation demon beasts he had actually slain. A strong cultivator capable of slaughtering 4th level core formation demon beasts so easily was not someone to be trifled with. "What's wrong? Cat got your tongue?" Now it was Jiang Fan's turn to provoke them. "Weren't you all fired up and eager to challenge me earlier? Why so quiet now? Is it cowardice, or are your pockets empty of demon cores?" The disciples of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion had always been aloof, looking down on the 9-sect disciples. When had they ever been mocked so blatantly? A female disciple, smeared in mud and blood, couldn't hold back any longer. "How dare you?" Swish. She drew 5 demon cores from her sleeve. They included core levels 5, 4, and 3. Jiang Fan nodded approvingly. He turned his eyes toward the rest of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples. "And you?" Under Jiang Fan's gaze, how could they bear to show weakness? All of them puffed up their chests and reluctantly pulled out their own 5 cores. Even Xianxia, the weakest among them, couldn't resist Jiang Fan's provocation and declared, "Fine, let's bet." At the side, Jian Linyuan shook his head slightly. "You people, a few simple taunts are all it takes, and now you're gambling away your precious demon cores." Leng Qingzhu had a 5th layer realm cultivation. She stood a fair chance. It was hard to say who would win, but as for the others, seeing Jiang Fan take out fourth-level demon cores should have told them his strength, and yet they were still offering themselves up like lambs to the slaughter. That's what happens when you stay in the heavenly mechanism pavilion too long. Arrogance and a lack of real experience. When compared to Jiang Fan, his cunning was terrifying. He revealed fourth-level demon cores intentionally. Had he taken out first or second-level cores, they might have thought carefully about whether betting demon cores was worthwhile. But displaying fourth-level demon cores deeply provoked them. Add to that Jiang Fan's verbal provocations. They were all thoroughly swept up in the moment. Liang Qingzhu asked, "Who do you want to compete with first?" "Pick anyone you want." The others glared fiercely at Jiang Fan, their fighting spirit brimming. They simply couldn't believe it, that the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion's prized disciples couldn't defeat a mere nine-sect brat. Jiang Fan's gaze locked onto Liang Qingzhu, and he said, "You're the strongest." "It'll be you." Among them, only Liang Qingzhu had a fifth-layer core formation. The others consisted of fourth-level cultivators and Xianxia, who was at the third level. "Brave choice." Liang Qingyan felt thoroughly provoked seeing Jiang Fan challenge her first. With a flip of her wrist, she drew two short swords from her waist. "If you get hurt later, don't cry about it." With that, her eyes glinted darkly. Her delicate foot lightly pressed against the ground, and her figure instantly transformed into a blur, her terrifying movement technique propelling her 9 zhang in a single step toward Jiang Fan. Xianxia clenched her fists tightly and shouted, "Senior Sister Liang, go for it. Show this ignorant fool the pride of Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples." The other disciples chimed in as well. "If you ask me, Senior Sister Liang will win in one move. Her movement technique, 9 zhang in a single step, is among the top-tier skills in our Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. That brat probably hasn't even seen such a technique in his backwater 9-sect land. Just reacting to it would be a challenge, let alone dodging it." Jian Linyuan's gaze remained calm, but there was a faint glint of intrigue in his expression. He didn't believe someone capable of chasing down 5th and 4th-level demon beasts so relentlessly would lose so easily. In the next moment, his pupils contracted ever so slightly. Because as Liang Qingzhu's movement technique took off, Jiang Fan moved as well, and his speed was even faster. Clang, a sharp, resonant sword hum erupted suddenly. The attack Liang Qingzhu had executed at the peak of her movement technique, which she had expected would throw Jiang Fan into disarray, turned into something entirely unexpected. He countered by drawing a chillingly cold longsword. In the blink of an eye, it appeared right in front of her. Liang Qingzhu was startled. Her movement technique was already at an exceptional level, but this peer, someone of her age, was even faster by at least several zhang. She hurriedly activated her twin swords, warding off the lightning-quick figure. Clang, her dual swords clashed against Jiang Fan's Sorrow Frost sword in a shower of sparks. Their figures crossed briefly before separating. But before Liang Qingzhu's feet hit the ground, a vibrant, multicolored beam exploded toward her back. Liang Qingzhu's expression shifted. She twisted her body agilely midair in a desperate maneuver. Thwap. The beam grazed her ribs, tearing a section of her black robe and exposing flushed skin worn red from the friction. The sharp, stinging pain jolted Liang Qingzhu into complete sobriety. She no longer dared to underestimate Jiang Fan. As soon as her toes touched the ground, she immediately rebounded, using her high-speed movement technique to rush toward Jiang Fan. Butterfly's dream. Her twin short swords emitted an eerie vibration as they rubbed together in her palms, releasing an ultrasonic noise imperceptible to human ears. The sound waves distorted the surrounding air, making Liang Qingzhu and the space around her ripple as if trapped in a surreal dreamscape. It was impossible to judge the true distance between her attacks and herself. However, this technique didn't faze Jiang Fan in the slightest. With a single thought, he activated Qi observation technique, locking onto the exact location of Liang Qingzhu's true body. Heaven and Earth Star Fall? Re-ip. Powerful sword Qi struck directly at Liang Qingzhu, distorting her illusion. What? Liang Qingzhu gasped in shock. It wasn't the Earth-level swordsmanship itself that surprised her. It was the fact that her technique hadn't affected him. She immediately swung one of her short swords, shattering the incoming sword Qi. At this moment, she finally understood how troublesome Jiang Fan truly was. Excellent. Finally, an opponent worth getting serious for. She tossed both of her short swords into the air. The swords began flying independently, seemingly under the control of sword control technique. But upon closer inspection, thin, invisible threads concealed in her sleeves were controlling them. Through these threads, the swords mimicked the effects of sword flight for ranged attacks. The onlookers grew serious. She's actually pushed senior sister Leng to use that move. She usually reserves it for fighting formidable opponents. With two swords harassing him, this brat won't have a chance to counterattack, while senior sister Leng can strike freely. Leng Qingzhu pointed with both hands. The two swords shot toward Liang Feiyan at lightning speed from several zhang away. At the same time, a cluster of violet flames gathered in Leng Qingzhu's palms. This was her strongest move, an earth-level intermediate palm technique. Though incomplete, its power was absolutely devastating. Even a minor touch could peel a layer of Liang Feiyan's skin. Liang Feiyan's gaze swept across the incoming swords with some interest, and he said, "I thought it was sword control technique at first." Leng Qingzhu synchronized her swords with her own attack and lunged at Liang Feiyan. She sneered coldly, saying, "This isn't sword control technique, but it's a combat dharma method based on sword control technique principles. Unless you have a third hand, you won't stand a chance." Her eyes gleamed with confidence. This move had never failed. When an opponent was forced to defend themselves against two swords attacking from different sides, that was her window to unleash her most powerful palm strike, with the fifth layer core formation cultivation and an earth-level intermediate palm technique. She couldn't conceive of a reason Liang Feiyan could fend this off. However, Liang Feiyan's lips curled into a playful smile. "A third hand I don't have." "But," he pressed his hands together. In Leng Qingzhu's horrified gaze, the Sorrow Frost sword flew out by itself. Liang Feiyan's voice followed closely after, reaching her ears. "What a coincidence. I do know sword control technique." Frost sword, shrouded in bursts of cold air, sent a short sword flying into the distance. It immediately flew back. Just as another short sword was about to pierce Liang Feiyan's back, it intercepted it in time. The crowd suddenly fell into a deathly silence. A few Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples looked as though they had seen a ghost. Sword control technique, the real sword control technique. This kid actually knows sword control technique, but wasn't it said that Senior Su Qingyang had no successors? Can someone tell me what in the world is going on here? A glint flashed in Jian Linyuan's eyes, and a trace of surprise appeared on his face. This person is truly hiding his abilities. Leng Qingzhu was stunned for a moment. Then she snapped out of it. She fully realized that she had encountered a formidable opponent. Even though her short swords had failed, she closed the distance swiftly. The earth-level mid-tier palm technique in her palm still gave her confidence in victory. "Feel my palm strike?" Leng Qingzhu cried out sharply. Her jade-like palm, wrapped in violet flames, struck fiercely toward Liang Feiyan. Liang Feiyan did not dare to be careless. After all, this was the strongest blow from a core formation 5th-level martial artist wielding an earth-level mid-tier palm technique. The poison pill within his body trembled. It had absorbed the poison dragon bone marrow, 7-colored poison toad, ice cave cold poison, and the deadly toxins left behind by Lu Jiolin. The terrifying level of toxicity mingling within him was unmeasurable. It was certainly beyond what a core formation 5th-level martial artist could withstand. Without hesitation, he raised his palm, brimming with an overwhelming mix of dreadful toxins, and struck fiercely. Splurt, the icy, bone-chilling poison extinguished more than half of the violet flames on Leng Qingzhu's palm in an instant. The remaining venom corroded the residual flames until they were completely extinguished. In the next moment, at the exact instant their palms made contact, the devastating poison sought to invade the opposing body. Leng Qingzhu's pupils contracted sharply. Her prideful earth-level mid-tier palm technique had been neutralized. Fortunately, her reaction was swift. Noticing the impending danger, she decisively withdrew her palm, preventing the toxins from entering her body. The strongest strike she could muster had failed to overwhelm Liang Feiyan. However, she also discovered that Liang Feiyan's cultivation was merely at the 2nd level of core formation. Though she could not secure victory, neither could Liang Feiyan defeat her outright. With her spiritual power shield alone, Liang Feiyan would have no chance of breaking through. As she deliberated, she decisively retreated, searching for the perfect opportunity to strike again. How could Liang Feiyan let her have her way? Taking advantage of her failed attack, leaving her no time to launch a second move, he immediately used his movement technique to close the distance. Leng Qingzhu was startled and hastily activated an abundant flow of spiritual power to shield her body, while striking a palm at the approaching Liang Feiyan. "With your cultivation level, you can't possibly defeat me." Hiss, 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 but Leng Qingzhu was astonished to find. Jiang Fan's legs were wrapped in arcs of lightning. "Thunder Path technique," Liang Qingzhu exclaimed in shock. She had already lost count of how many techniques this mysterious peer had employed in such a brief exchange. Each was frighteningly powerful, showcasing the strength of supreme techniques. In her moment of awe, Jiang Fan's foot already struck her. Zap! Two thunder dragons instantly tore through her spiritual power shield, directly hitting her body. Ah! Subjected to the explosion of thunderbolts, she flailed like a butterfly dancing in a flower-filled field only to be abruptly struck by a heavy stick. She was sent flying across the battlefield, crashing onto the corpse of a demon beast. The beast's once indestructible scales scattered, breaking off in large patches under the impact. Liang Qingzhu slid down with blood gushing from her mouth. She landed heavily on the ground, unable to get up for some time. The entire field fell silent. Only the eternal howling winds of the snowfield echoed through the stillness. Liang Qingzhu lost. Core Formation 5th level, defeated by a mere Core Formation 2nd level. And not just any 5th level martial artist. She was a prodigy of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, equipped with top-tier resources unattainable to ordinary cultivators. Even witnessing it happen before their own eyes, nobody could believe what they had just seen. Jiang Fan landed effortlessly. He walked over to the 5 demon cores on the ground, flicked his longsword, and gathered them all into his sleeve. Only then did he offer Liang Qingzhu a faint smile. "Thank you for the match." No matter her expression, his gaze shifted toward Xianxia and his group. Hiss! The 5 of them instantly felt their scalps tingle. Having just witnessed Jiang Fan's overwhelming power, their confidence as Core Formation 4th and 3rd layer cultivators evaporated entirely. After all, wouldn't it take just a couple of moves to defeat any one of them? But to their relief and their indignation at the insult, Jiang Fan said with his hands clasped behind his back, "Everyone's time is precious. To save us all some time, why don't you come at me together?" Xianxia's face twisted in humiliation as he shouted, "You're utterly arrogant. Let's oblige him. All together now." The other 4 Core Formation 4th level prodigies, equally incensed, shared his fury. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion's prodigies had just been so contemptuously challenged by a disciple of the 9-sect land. They didn't care that ganging up on him might be dishonorable. Victory came first. Without hesitation, the 5 exchanged glances, leaping to different positions and forming a coordinated formation. This was a killing formation they had specially trained for before coming to the battlefield. By combining their differing techniques, it left the trapped opponent no room to dodge and no chance to escape, forcing them to endure the full brunt of all 5 attacks simultaneously. It was originally designed to take down a Core Formation 5th layer Beast King, and it had proven exceptionally effective. Now, they had no choice but to use it against a mere Core Formation 2nd layer junior disciple. Xianxia snarled, his brows knitted tightly. "Let's see how arrogant you are now, kid." "Do it!" The 5 simultaneously unleashed their techniques. One drew a longbow, launching a sound-breaking bow arrow for ranged assault. Another utilized shifting shadow, making their movements unpredictable in close-range combat. Yet another exhaled a mist clearly imbued with hallucinatory properties as supporting interference. Their techniques were indeed diverse, but they worked seamlessly together, ensuring every strike targeted their surrounded opponent with maximum effectiveness. Jiang Fan's face showed a hint of amazement. This formation is quite well designed. In all of the 9-sect land, not to mention having this many strong disciples, even if there were, he had never heard of them being capable of forming such a coordinated array. This group of powerful individuals who seemingly appeared out of nowhere was quite remarkable. As such, he decided to take this seriously. Without delay, he took out the white jade ancient zither. When it came to chaotic battles, nothing was more effective than a widespread, high-damage sound wave technique. "In that case, allow me to perform a piece for you." Clang. With one hand, he pressed the zither onto the ground, and with the other, he swept his fingers across its strings. Instantly, a thunderous dragon's roar erupted, shaking the heavens and earth. The terrifying sound waves shattered the icy field below into countless pieces. The 5 surrounding him bore the brunt of the auditory assault. Each was sent flying under the sudden onslaught, coughing up blood as they fell. For a moment, the air was filled with anguished groans. Jiang Fan put away the zither and unhurriedly approached the place where the demon cores were stored. He picked up the 5 demon cores placed by the group and stowed them all, adding in Liang Qingzhu's share. Across 2 battles, he had earned a total of 30 demon cores. That was equivalent to completing 6 first-level missions. It was far faster than hunting down a beast king. With a slight smile, he clasped his fists and said, "Thank you all for the match. If you're interested in gambling again, please make sure to find me." Arrogant, Liang Qingzhu and the others glared at him with fiery eyes, their teeth grinding in fury. At this moment, Jian Linyuan, with his hands behind his back, smiled calmly. "Could you enlighten us as to which sect you belong to?" The other 6 instantly quieted down. They were all equally curious to know just where this little monster had emerged from. Jiang Fan regarded him warily. Instinct told him that this senior brother Jian possessed terrifying strength. "Do you want to fight as well?" Jiang Fan asked. Jian Linyuan smiled faintly and said, No, I practice the slaughter skill. I kill, not fight. Only those who must die will see me strike." Jiang Fan's pupils contracted slightly. Could there truly be people in this world who cultivated the slaughter skill? He had once read about it in an ancient manuscript. Among the myriad paths of magic cultivation, there were some exceedingly niche methods. The slaughter skill was one of them. Practitioners of such a path seldom met a good end, because reaching the peak of cultivation meant only one outcome: loss of mind. Cultivating this technique involved more than just mastering various dangerous and terrifying techniques. One also had to consume the blood of violent demon beasts from a young age, fostering a bloodthirsty bloodline. Once they made a move, the bloodthirsty bloodline would activate automatically, thrusting them into a crazed state of bloodlust. Their hearing, vision, touch, sensitivity, and agility would all rise to inhuman levels in an instant. When paired with their killing skill, their combat capabilities became absolutely frightening. The most terrifying part was that, in their bloodthirsty state, rationality would cease to exist. Unless their opponent died, they would continue fighting ceaselessly. Who wouldn't fear encountering such a violent and dangerous martial artist? The slaughter skill was widely recognized as the most powerful combat style. Its fall from favor stemmed from its inherent danger. The deeper one cultivated it, the more mental clarity was eroded by the bloodthirsty bloodline. In the end, one would lose the ability to regain their human rationality. Driven to madness, they would transform into a demon. Their eventual fate involved either being prematurely slain by a stronger opponent or causing chaos as a demon before being killed. No exceptions had ever been made. Before him stood a silver-haired man with a calm and insightful gaze. This person actually turned out to be a practitioner of the legendary slaughter skill. It was nothing like the savage, unpredictable, and easily enraged figure Jiang Fan had imagined. Jiang Fan nodded and replied, "Well, that's just fine. As for my sect affiliation, it's the same as yours. None of your business." Having said that, he mobilized his spiritual power at his feet, preparing to use his movement technique to leave the area. Jian Linyuan didn't try to stop him. Instead, he chuckled gracefully. "If you won't say, so be it. With your strength, it's only a matter of time before you join the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. You'll find out then. As your future senior brother, let me give you a word of advice. The demon race's blood aura on you is beginning to surface. If you keep killing, the aura will cling to you. At that point, you'll become the common enemy of the demon race." Jiang Fan's eyes flickered. He was reminded of Yi Kangyuan, who guarded this region. That man had killed so much that a palpable layer of blood aura flowed visibly around him. Taking Jian Linyuan's words to heart, Jiang Fan cupped his hands and said, "Thanks for the warning. Farewell." Whoosh. He transformed into a fleeting shadow and vanished amidst the boundless snowfield. Liang Qingzhu and the others sat on the ground, somewhat stunned. One male disciple of the 4th level of core formation suddenly asked, "So, we lost just like that?" The others shared the same surreal and dreamlike feeling. A group of prodigies from the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion had been utterly defeated by some wild kid who appeared out of nowhere. Even if this were a dream, it would be an absurd one, yet it had truly happened. Bam! Liang Qingzhu struck the corpse of the demon beast behind her in frustration. "Where the hell did that bastard learn so many techniques? It's utterly ridiculous." Shang Shikyu grumbled as well. "Yeah, he totally cheated. When dueling senior sister Liang, he used so many techniques, and then suddenly he unleashed a sound path technique. That's outrageous." They recalled the variety of techniques Jiang Fan had used. A rough count revealed a total of 8, and at the very least they were all of Earth-level lower rank. None of them were mere ornamental or ordinary techniques. "Is he even human?" Liang Qingzhu muttered, tears welling up in her eyes. Regarding strength, she was undoubtedly a standout among practitioners of the 5th layer of core formation. Her record of victories far exceeded her defeats. Against those in realms lower than hers, she had an impeccable record. But today she had been thoroughly crushed by Liang Feiyan. In mere moments he had unleashed 7 Earth-level techniques. How was one supposed to fight against that? And then, Jian Linyuan, with his hands behind his back, gazed toward the direction Liang Feiyan had vanished and said, 8 Earth-level techniques are merely the limit of your understanding. Not his limit. What? Leng Qingzhu wiped away her tears, her expression one of shock as she asked, Senior Brother Jian, are you saying that this person had yet another method he hadn't used? The others were completely frozen. More. Was that guy really not just some monster wearing human skin? Jian Linyuan gently shook his head. Not just one. Many. One of them is a known technique, an extremely dangerous soul attack. He never used it, which clearly shows he showed you mercy. Hiss. Leng Qingzhu finally remembered that Jian Linyuan had previously mentioned that the pangolin demon who had escaped had suffered damage to its soul. It turned out that the person responsible was Liang Feiyan. The pangolin demon, despite being at the 5th level of core formation, had its soul damaged. If he had used that attack on her, how could she have fared any better? That guy is a total freak, Leng Qingzhu gasped. Jian Linyuan's eyes glimmered with meaning as he said, Furthermore, my intuition tells me he carries an extremely dangerous weapon. The last time I felt such a sensation was with the Pavilion Master's personal magical treasure. What? Leng Qingzhu's pupils shrank drastically. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master's personal magical treasure was none other than a spiritual artifact. She inhaled sharply. All traces of her unwillingness to concede defeat melted away. If Liang Feiyan had unleashed the soul attack from the beginning, alongside the spiritual artifact, her body would have long turned cold. Shang Shikyu's mouth hung agape as he stammered. He truly is a little freak. But Senior Brother Jian, since you knew, why didn't you stop us earlier? Not only did we embarrass ourselves, but we also lost the hard-earned demon core. Leng Qingzhu cast him an equally resentful look. If they had known how terrifying he was, they wouldn't have provoked him, let alone gambled and fought him. Jian Linyuan chuckled lightly. Did anyone heed me when I said junior sister Leng might not be his match? At these words, Leng Qingzhu's delicate face flushed red, and the others felt equally embarrassed. As the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion's prodigies, how could they possibly regard a disciple from the 9th sect as their equal? Nothing anyone said would have swayed them. Jian Linyuan, with his hands clasped behind his back, strolled toward the northern territory, saying with a laugh, Words can teach a person nothing. Experience can teach them once and for all. Spending 5 demon cores for a lesson they'll never forget, that's worth it. Leng Qingzhu's face turned even redder. Grinding her silver teeth in frustration, she said, Where do we go to find a beast king now? Having lost so many beast cores, they had to figure out how to replenish them quickly. Jian Linyuan glanced north, his silver hair billowing, and calmly uttered, In the territory of the demon race. What? The group questioned if they'd heard him wrong. Leng Qingzhu asked, Senior Brother Jian, wouldn't the front lines be safer? The territory of the demon race was devoid of any support. Jian Linyuan replied indifferently, Disciples of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion should act like disciples of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Don't compete with the 9-sect disciples for spoils. We're going to the dangerous places. Leave the frontline's beast kings to them. Leng Qingzhu and the others exchanged glances, then hurriedly followed him. Though there were many groups of Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples deployed, not all would act the same. However, it was enough to ensure they did what was right. As for Liang Feiyan, after executing his movement technique several times, he landed atop a towering snow mountain. He gazed into the distance, searching for demon beasts that had infiltrated behind the lines. After 7 or 8 days of clearing them out, the beasts that had breached the defenses were nearly eradicated. Liang Feiyan pondered whether he should head straight to the front lines. At that moment, a snow-white spiritual horse, being chased by a ferocious beast king at the 2nd level of core formation, dashed past the foot of the mountain. Liang Feiyan initially rejoiced. A demon core had delivered itself to him. But his expression quickly turned grim. That white spiritual horse belonged to Xia Chaoge. 10,000 miles of snowfields in the northern territory. Without a spirit beast, you can hardly move an inch. Unless the master is in danger, they will never abandon their spirit beast. Moreover, the white horse is intelligent and will not easily abandon its master unless it is absolutely necessary. Xia Chaoge's spiritual horse appeared here alone. There was no need to think about it. It must be that she encountered danger. He immediately leaped up and used sword control technique to kill the pursuing Beast King. Then he pressed down on the spiritual horse. "Don't run, it's me." The spiritual horse recognized Jiang Fan and spoke. "Lecher." Jiang Fan was stunned. "You called me," the spiritual horse said. "That's what my master said." "What?" Jiang Fan was bewildered. Xia Chaoge called him a lecher. No, where did this come from? He had always observed the propriety between an elder martial uncle and his junior sister's niece. He had never done anything inappropriate. How could she slander him like this in front of her spirit beast? All right. This could be discussed later. He urgently asked, "Why are you here? Where is your master?" The spiritual horse's eyes became urgent. "Quick, let go of me. My master sent me back to Sunset City to deliver a message. There is a demon beast army of more than 100 in the sky-breaking canyon. They are all beast kings. The strongest leader is at the 5th level of core formation." Jiang Fan was shocked. How many demon beasts had broken through last time when the defensive line was loose? Not to mention the group of mid-stage core formation beasts led by Xu and Jia. Now more than 100 beast kings had appeared. So many beast kings, even if Jiang Fan encountered them, he would have no choice but to flee. "Then where is your master?" the spiritual horse urgently said. "My master fought her way out of a bloodbath for me and told me to run first. She is surrounded. No more talking, I need to hurry back to Sunset City." Jiang Fan pressed down on it again. "What good would it do to bring reinforcements now? It would take you at least 5 or 6 days to return. By the time the reinforcements arrive, your master could already be dead." The spiritual horse whimpered. "So what should we do?" Jiang Fan whistled to Bai in the distance. "Lead the way." The spiritual horse blinked its big eyes in confusion. "What good would it do for a lecher like you to go?" A vein popped on Jiang Fan's forehead. He knocked it on the head. "Stop the nonsense." "Move." The spiritual horse galloped away in pain. Bai quickly followed. When they passed by the corpse of a demon beast, they paused and dug into its belly with one horn. They quickly pulled out a large chunk of spiritual meat and a demon core. Then it caught up with Jiang Fan quickly. It diligently handed the demon core to Jiang Fan while it happily ate the spiritual meat. Jiang Fan took the demon core and praised, "Not for nothing." The spiritual horse glanced at Bai and immediately widened its eyes. "Younger sister Bai, did you break through to the 4th level of core formation?" All the spirit beasts in Sunset City knew each other well. Not long ago, Bai was only at the 3rd level of core formation. How did it break through to the 4th level of core formation? Bai proudly said, "With brother Jiang Fan's protection." "What is the 4th level of core formation?" "I will break through the 5th level of core formation sooner or later." After eating a clump of clam meat previously, it almost broke through to the 4th level of core formation. In the past few days, it had been eating spiritual meat from mid-period core formation demon beasts like they were beans. If it hadn't broken through to the 4th level of core formation, it would have been unfair. The spiritual horse immediately drooled with envy. It continued to lead the way while glancing back at Jiang Fan with a look of plea. Xia Chaoge had also given it a lot of spiritual meat, but it was not enough to break through its current 2nd level of core formation. Jiang Fan glared at it, calling me a lecher, asking me for something to eat. "What are you thinking? Focus on leading the way." The spiritual horse grumbled aggrievedly. "That was what my master said." Sky-breaking canyon. Just at the mouth of the canyon. Jiang Fan's expression turned stern. Although he had not seen any demon beasts yet, the smell of demon beast blood hit him. His presence was also detected by the demon beasts in the canyon. Roar, a giant beast at the 3rd level of core formation, charged out aggressively, followed by 4 1st level of core formation demon beasts. Jiang Fan's eyes turned cold. With a flick of his wrist, the Sorrow Frost sword flew into the air. There were several sounds of swords piercing through flesh. 4 beast kings fell to the ground one after another. Only the 3rd level of core formation beast king dodged the attack expertly and let out a roar towards the canyon. It seemed to be alerting the others to a strong enemy invasion. Just as it finished roaring, the Sorrow Frost sword stabbed it, killing it. The spiritual horse's eyes rounded. "So you are indeed this powerful lecher?" "No, brother Jiang Fan." It felt that Jiang Fan's strength was comparable to its master's. Jiang Fan, holding his sword, strode forward. Without glancing at the Beast King corpses on the ground, he said without looking back, "You two dig out the demon cores. If you perform well, there will be a reward." He charged alone into the depths of the canyon. The spiritual horse's eyes turned, and it quickly ran to a demon beast's corpse. Its horn fiercely dug into the belly, and its hooves dug out a demon core. Bai immediately panicked. "You thick-browed, big-eyed guy? You are actually so sneaky." It quickly ran to other demon beast corpses to dig out demon cores. Sky-breaking canyon center. A densely packed group of beast kings, like an unending mountain range, filled the narrow canyon to the brim. In the center, 3 humans stood like flickering candlelight amidst the black torrent. They could be swallowed by the torrent at any moment. Liang Feiyan's face was pale, and his arm holding the sword trembled. His sword strike struggled to kill even a second level of core formation demon beast. It should be known. He was a martial artist at the 3rd level of core formation, practicing the strongest attack skill of the 9 sect, swordsmanship. The reason could be nothing else. His spiritual power was exhausted. "Junior sister Xia, I'm out of spiritual power." Liang Feiyan gritted his teeth and swung his sword with all his strength, forcing back the approaching demon beasts. The demon beast group has something commanding them. They are using a wheel fight to drain our spiritual power with the weakest beast kings continuously. When our spiritual power is exhausted, it will be the time for that thing behind them to strike. Xia Chaoge killed another approaching beast king with a strike. She still had spiritual power, but not much. Her gaze remained as calm as ever. "We can only wait for reinforcements." Jin Zhongming also killed another approaching beast king with a punch. He was a body refiner, not needing spiritual power, but his physical strength was also almost depleted. He couldn't hold on much longer. He grumbled, "It's all Liang Feiyan's fault for being weak, otherwise we would have escaped the encirclement." Liang Feiyan heard this and burst with anger. "You have the audacity to blame me. You didn't listen to advice, chased beast kings deep into the canyon and got surrounded. We are trapped trying to save you." If he had known this would happen, Liang Feiyan should have watched Jin Zhongming die in the mouths of the demon beasts. Xia Chaoge said, "Now is not the time to argue. Try to break through slowly. If reinforcements come, it will reduce their pressure." Hearing this, Liang Feiyan and Jin Zhongming both showed deep bitterness. "Reinforcements? Where would we get reinforcements? Sunset City is 3 days away. It would take 5 to 6 days for them to arrive. We may not even survive 5 or 6 two-hour periods," Liang Feiyan said with a wry smile. Jin Zhongming also accepted his fate, even if reinforcements come. "The beast herd behind us has 40 or 50 beasts. Who would dare to move?" Everyone fell silent. No need to think about reinforcements from Sunset City. They could only hope for disciples on missions nearby, but with the vast number of beast kings, they would avoid it rather than confront it. Who would take action? That would be seeking death, but at that moment, suddenly the beast king herd behind them became chaotic. A tremendous spiritual power burst out not far away. The 3 shivering said as one, "Reinforcements, how could it be?" They couldn't believe it. There truly was reinforcements coming, and they were going to attack the overwhelming beast kings. Even an elder of the 5th level of core formation might not dare to venture in alone, right? However, that unique spiritual power of the human clan couldn't be faked. Liang Feiyan showed an expression of finding hope in a desperate situation and exclaimed, "Someone is coming to rescue us." Jin Zhongming was also overjoyed and said, "It doesn't matter if this person is an elder of the 9 sect or a powerful member of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. If I am saved, I will surely kneel down and express my gratitude." Xia Chaoge was also somewhat surprised. Someone actually dared to come to rescue them, and just one person, but this undoubtedly gave them great hope. He decisively said, "Break through to the rear and meet up with this person." The 3 of them mustered their spirits, defending against the attacking demon beasts in front, and killing the beast kings behind them. They retreated with great difficulty. On the other side, Jiang Fan also felt immense pressure facing the dense group of beast kings, although their strength wasn't very strong. They were generally at the 1st and 2nd layers of core formation, with very few at the 3rd layer, but their numbers were truly too many. One careless move and Jiang Fan could easily get injured. Fortunately, the canyon itself was narrow, while the beast kings were enormous in size. Despite their large numbers, they couldn't exploit their numerical advantage. Only 3 demon beasts at the front could attack at a time, while the ones behind could only wait. This gave Jiang Fan a chance. Otherwise, if it were a flat land, a swarm of 50 to 60 beast-sized demon beasts attacking at once would only leave him the option to flee. Heaven and earth star fall. Regretful dragon, sky opening. Thunder dragon lightning leg. Jiang Fan wielded his sorrow frost sword using various cultivation techniques. Each move could kill a demon beast. Soon, more than a dozen beast kings fell, but the beast kings behind them still charged forward relentlessly. Jiang Fan slightly panted. The consumption of his spiritual power was also considerable. Only then did he start to realize something was wrong. This is a wheel battle. The 5th level and 4th level core formation Beast Kings were nowhere to be seen. Only the Beast Kings at the early stage of core formation were charging forward. This strategy, forget a 5th level core formation human. Even a 7th level core formation human falling into the midst of the Beast Kings would be exhausted to death. There is a high-level strategist behind these Beast Kings. I just don't know if it's someone from my human clan or the demon race. Liang Feiyan slightly narrowed his eyes. But a wheel battle won't work on me. Taking advantage of the Beast King's attack interval, he took out a previously refined replenishing spirit pill. This pill, like the revitalizing pill, was an extremely high-grade, 3rd-grade spirit pill. Just one pill can quickly restore all spiritual power for an early-stage core formation martial artist. He held it in his mouth, waiting until his spiritual power was almost depleted before taking action. Meanwhile, in a certain part of the Beast King tide, a snake demon with an aura at the 5th level of core formation held the position at the rear of the Beast Kings. 4 black-robed figures sat cross-legged on its body, with dragon-patterned masks on their faces. Both men and women, and the snake demon at 5th level of core formation they sat on had dull eyes and no expression, as if it had lost its soul. Senior Sister Wu's puppetry technique is indeed worth 1,000 armies. Controlling this Beast King snake demon allows her to control the subordinate Beast Kings through it. Among the 4, a curvaceous woman with long, wavy hair sat cross-legged on the snake's head, holding a mysterious black flag in her hand. Some black mist faintly appeared within the small flag. If Liang Qingzhu were here, she would definitely recognize that this Senior Sister Wu was a practitioner of the puppetry technique in the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, so terrifying that all the disciples were fearful of her. Wu Manyu, a 5th level core formation practitioner, also adept at puppetry technique. If struck by her spells, one would become a puppet, just like the 5th level core formation snake she sat upon. Not only life and death controlled by her, even actions would be beyond one's control. Who wouldn't fear such a near-demonic magic? Wu Manyu stretched out her long fingers, gently caressing the black flag, saying, "Unfortunately, I can only control one puppet at a time. If there were no limits, it would be wonderful, controlling all the Beast Kings here to kill each other, and we would only need to wait until the end to collect the demon cores one by one. Of course, it's not too late now." Her demonic red lips curved slightly. Just the right time, 3 fools broke into the canyon. Let them do the hard work of killing these demon beasts for us. The puppetry technique was indeed strange, but it wasn't all-powerful. Although she controlled the snake demon leader, she could only use this leader to gather its subordinate Beast Kings into the narrow canyon, giving the snake demon leader the order to have these Beast Kings kill each other. Those with spiritual wisdom wouldn't follow such commands. After much effort, Wu Manyu found this suitable place to gather the Beast Kings. In the narrow canyon, the Beast Kings faced slaughter and couldn't disperse to escape. They had no choice but to be butchered by the 4 of them, until their spiritual power was exhausted, although this meant that at least half of the Beast Kings would escape while they replenished their spiritual power. There was no other option. A martial artist's spiritual power was limited. But just as they were about to take action, they discovered Xia Chaoge and the others had entered, so they adapted their plan, letting the Beast Kings employ a wheel battle strategy against them, using their efforts to reduce the number of Beast Kings. Finally, the 4 of them would strike and kill the remaining Beast Kings. In this way, they could secure all the demon cores of the Beast Kings here. Thinking of this, Wu Manyu excitedly licked her bright red lips. 100 Beast Kings, which translates to 2,000 merit points. Enough for 2 nascent soul 1-strike jade tokens. It's worth it to have consumed a precious puppet flag. The puppet flag in her hand was an inheritance she accidentally discovered. There were only 5 flags. She had used 3 before this. Now, in order to obtain nascent soul 1-strike jade tokens, she decided to use another one from the remaining 2. But the harvest was immense. 2 nascent soul 1-strike jade tokens were about to be secured. The other 3 were also burning with desire. One of the disciples hesitated slightly and asked, "How should we deal with the 3 nine-sect disciples?" Wu Manyu nonchalantly replied, "How else would we deal with them? Shall we leave them alive to fight over the demon cores with us?" The 3's expressions turned stern. Were they going to kill them? Wu Manyu chuckled. "They will die because of depleted spiritual power falling to the hands of demon beasts. We are not the ones who killed them. What's there to feel guilty about?" Besides, they aren't weak. They should also have some demon cores on them. The three's expression stiffened, though she said so. Even if they weren't directly killed by them, they would still die due to their scheme. What's the difference? Wu Manyu's gaze turned cold. If you are so kind-hearted, then you can take their place. The three shrank back, daring not to say more just then. Wu Manyu suddenly stood up, seemingly sensing something, and looked towards the other end of the canyon. Her pretty face changed slightly. There are reinforcements, and strong reinforcements at that. After carefully sensing it for a moment, her tension eased, revealing a hint of sneer. Turns out it's just one person. Then there's nothing to worry about. Those beast kings are enough to exhaust their spiritual power. She sat back down with a smile, taking out a wine pot and a cup. Pouring herself a cup, she raised it in a distant toast towards the other end of the canyon. Keep it up, kill more beast kings for us. He. In her opinion, one more reinforcement was a drop in the bucket. It wouldn't save the 3 9-sect disciples who were trapped. She herself would also die from exhausting her spiritual power, rather than calling it reinforcements. It was more like free labor for her. The other 3 were somewhat nervous. What if this person's strength is extremely high? Wouldn't it be that all the hard work we did to gather the scattered beast kings from all over was just to make clothes for this person? Although the demonic beasts that broke into the rear were many, they were mostly scattered. Many of them were still at the Foundation establishment realm. To gather the beast kings from all sides, the 4 of them had put in a great deal of effort. This was the result they had now. Wu Manyu took a sip of wine and gave a charming smile. Can someone be stronger than the late stage of core formation? With so many beast kings, even someone at the late stage of core formation would be exhausted of spiritual power. At most, 2 hours. This person will be the first to give up, either exhausting their spiritual power and being angrily killed by the beast kings or smartly fleeing. The 3 put their minds at ease. Wu Manyu was very good at group battles and had a lot of experience in evaluating the strength of various parties. Since she said 2 hours, it would be almost spot on. Soon, 2 hours passed. The wine cup in Wu Manyu's hand had long been put down. Her delicate eyebrows furrowed slightly. Clearly, the development of the situation was beyond her expectations. Does this person have such abundant spiritual power? Wait another 2 hours. Even if he is a martial artist at the late stage of core formation, his spiritual power can't last for 2 hours. Another 2 hours passed. The battle at the other end of the canyon continued, and the beast kings seemed to be afraid too. They were actually retreating toward this side. Wu Manyu couldn't sit still anymore. She stood up, her expression very serious. How is this possible? Is this person's spiritual power endless? He's clearly just one person. The 3 companions looked quite grim. It seemed a powerful warrior had appeared. Relying on one person's strength, they were making the beast kings retreat step by step. Senior Sister Wu, don't worry about that now. Quickly have the beast king leaders stop the beast kings from retreating. Wu Manyu snapped back to her senses, immediately pointed her index finger at the black flag and ordered the flag. Don't retreat, attack for me. As soon as her words fell, the controlled giant python raised its head and emitted a hiss in the language of the demon race. Wu Manyu used a similar method to control the actions of the beast kings. However, Liang Feiyan, as if he had endless spiritual power, continued to unleash powerful moves, almost wiping out the beast kings at the other end. The beast kings, who had somewhat developed spiritual wisdom, wouldn't continue to die. Even with the giant python's orders, they still retreated, especially a few at the 4th level of core formation, leading the retreat. As a result, a wave of retreating demonic beasts surged back at Wu Manyu and the others. Don't go! All of you stop for me! Wu Manyu repeatedly spoke to the array flag. The beast king leader beneath her feet hissed. But it was completely unstoppable, seeing the beast kings about to run away. How could Wu Manyu allow the beast kings she painstakingly gathered to scatter? Gritting her teeth, she said, "Get ready to act. Kill as many as you can." She took the lead, ordering the giant python beneath her to launch an attack first. With a loud bang, the giant snake's tail, like a whip, instantly crushed a beast king at the 4th level of core formation. Initially, the beast kings were stunned. Soon, they realized something was wrong with their leader. They all roared angrily at the human figures on top of their leader's head. Wu Manyu snorted. Now you realize too late. Attack! The giant python's enormous body, like a machine, cruelly crushed the beast kings. The 3 core formation disciples of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion were also forced to join the battle. On the other side, Xia Chaoge and the other two, who were already at their limits, were completely exhausted. Liang Feiyan could no longer even lift his sword. In the past 2 hours, he had relied entirely on sheer willpower to swing his longsword with his physical strength. The overexerted arm was now swollen to the thickness of a calf, and Jin Zhongming wasn't in much better condition. Due to excessive force, muscles all over his body were torn, and streaks of soy-colored liquid flowed out from his pores. Even Xia Chaoge was completely out of spiritual power, although her expression remained as calm as ever. The pale face and the beads of sweat that kept appearing foretold that she was also at her limit. The three of them couldn't hold on much longer. "The heavens have forsaken me," Liang Feiyan sighed, looking up, unwillingly looking back at the human warrior aura approaching ever closer to them. Jin Zhongming's eyes were full of unwillingness. Looking at the reinforcements behind him, his eyes showed resentment. "What is he doing? After all this time, is he still not here?" Xia Chaoge glanced at him, saying, "If you have the guts, say that to his face." Jin Zhongming's mouth twitched immediately. To make his way from the canyon entrance, killing over 50 beast kings, how could he dare provoke such a person? One slap from the other could kill him. Liang Feiyan also voiced his dissatisfaction. "And now you're holding a grudge. The other party is willing to come to our rescue, which is already a great favor. Moreover, fighting continuously for 2 hours under normal circumstances, his spiritual power would have been exhausted long ago. He must have used some exceedingly expensive heavenly materials and earthly treasures to forcibly replenish his spiritual power to continue fighting." "And you still have complaints?" rebuked by his two companions. Jin Zhongming's face clouded over and he snorted. "What's the point of saying so much? We're still not saved, are we?" At this moment, 3 beast kings simultaneously launched an attack on them. Liang Feiyan's arm couldn't be lifted. Feeling the deadly attack, a wry smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "To die at the hands of a bunch of demonic beasts. I am truly sorry to have failed my master's teachings." Xia Chaoge also sighed lightly, her eyes showing a bit of helplessness. "Just as we were about to succeed." Looking at the reinforcements that were almost within reach, Xia Chaoge's eyes revealed regret. Uncontrollably, scenes of her life's memories flashed through her mind. All the important people and events in her life, they flashed by like a carousel. Suddenly, a young face also emerged in her mind. A slight smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. "To think of Martial Uncle in my dying moments. When did he become important to me? Ah, he doesn't pay attention to me, though. Why am I still thinking of him?" A fierce wind approached. Xia Chaoge tried to lift her sword for one last desperate attack. In her current state, she might not be able to block this fatal blow. However, at the moment of their utter despair, the beast kings attacking them seemed to sense something. They hastily withdrew their attacks, retreating to the other end of the canyon. The 3 of them were stunned. Then they noticed. The beast kings were already retreating, and the remaining 5 or 6 beast kings here dared not fight Liang Feiyan anymore. They all fled in a rout. The other end of the canyon, which had been blocked and had put them in a desperate situation, was finally clear. At a glance, there were nothing but the corpses of fallen beast kings. Like hills, they rose and fell. The same scene that greeted their eyes also included a tall figure standing on a demonic beast's corpse, one hand behind his back, the other holding a sword. The 3 of them looked up. Instantly, they felt an overwhelming shock. The man was drenched in blood as if he had walked out of a blood pool. His clothes, hair, and face, everything was covered in blood. He stood atop countless beast king corpses, like an unparalleled god of slaughter. It was unimaginable. The beast tide they couldn't break through even by combining their strength. He had slaughtered through it single-handedly with just one sword. Liang Feiyan gulped hard. After a moment of shock, she finally snapped out of it. She quickly and laboriously raised her other arm, saluting with one hand. "Junior Liang Feiyan, thank you, Senior, for your life-saving grace." Jin Zhongming, having been saved, felt deeply grateful. He cupped his fists tightly together and said loudly, "Senior, your great kindness. Jin Zhongming will never forget it." Even Xia Chaoge dared not delay. She bowed gracefully and said, "Xia Chaoge expresses her gratitude to Senior for the rescue. May I ask for Senior's esteemed name? Chaoge must request my master to personally visit and express thanks." Such a desperate situation. Even a powerhouse at the 7th level of core formation would probably stare helplessly at the beast tide. Rescuing them was an achievement as difficult as ascending to the heavens. The weight of such a favor could never be repaid with mere words of thanks. "No need for courtesy," Liang Feiyan spoke, only to realize his throat was hoarse. After 3 continuous life-and-death hours of battle, his blood energy had been at its peak the entire time. Over time, it had started to dull his senses. Not only was his voice hoarse, but his hearing and vision were also somewhat affected. Thankfully, the issue was not serious. He leaped off the back of a beast and flew over to Xia Chaoge. After carefully examining her, he found that besides some superficial wounds, she was unharmed. Only then did he exhale slightly in relief. "As long as you're okay," Jiang Fan said. Liang Feiyan and Jin Zhongming exchanged glances. Why did it sound like this senior had come specifically to rescue Xia Chaoge? Thinking of Xia Chaoge's status as the #1 in the 9-sect land, they immediately understood. For someone of Xia Chaoge's status, it was perfectly reasonable for a senior to risk their life to save her. Xia Chaoge was also a bit puzzled. The voice sounded familiar, but she couldn't recall knowing such a senior. Still, it didn't stop her from expressing gratitude. "Many thanks, senior." Jiang Fan couldn't decide whether to laugh or cry. Just because his voice was hoarse, she couldn't recognize him. But clearly, this wasn't the time for reminiscing. The Beast Kings, frightened by his slaughter, were retreating. Such a great accomplishment, how could he let them escape? If they fled out of the canyon and scattered in all directions, where could they be found? "Can you still fight?" Xia Chaoge shook her head. "Junior's spiritual power has been completely depleted." Liang Feiyan raised her grotesquely swollen arm even higher. They were tempted by the idea, too. Following the senior to hunt Beast Kings meant they could at least collect a few demon cores. But they were entirely incapable of moving. Jiang Fan nodded, then retrieved 2 replenishing spirit pills, handing them to Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan. "Take these, then follow me to hunt the Beast Kings?" "What?" Liang Feiyan hesitated slightly. She didn't even know what kind of pill this was yet. But Xia Chaoge, without a second thought, immediately swallowed one. If this man wanted to harm her, he wouldn't have risked so much to save her. Seeing Xia Chaoge take the pill, Liang Feiyan no longer hesitated and swallowed one as well. The next moment, he exclaimed in shock, "My spiritual power, it's fully restored." A hint of astonishment appeared on Xia Chaoge's normally calm, elegant face. She noticed that in just a moment, her previously empty golden core had regained 70 to 80% of its spiritual power. Unable to contain her curiosity, she asked, "Senior, what kind of pill is this?" For it to instantly restore all of the spiritual power of an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator like Liang Feiyan, and even recover 80% of a mid-stage Jin cultivator like herself, its effects were simply miraculous. Jiang Fan said, "We'll discuss it later. Follow me to massacre the beast tide. Don't miss the chance." Liang Feiyan was immediately ecstatic. With a senior this powerful, there wasn't the slightest danger in following him. Calling it slaughtering Beast Kings was one thing, but in reality it was more like harvesting demon cores. Xia Chaoge nodded as well. Just moments ago, this group of Beast Kings had left them with no escape route. Now it was their turn to counterattack. "Wait, senior, what about me?" Jin Zhongming's expression turned anxious as he spoke. This was a golden opportunity, essentially a free ticket to immense benefits. If Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan both had the chance, how could he be left out? Jiang Fan cast him a flat glance. "You, a body refinement cultivator, have any use for a replenishing spirit pill?" Jin Zhongming immediately replied, "Senior, you might not know. Our body refinement sect may not employ spiritual power, but spiritual power can repair our bodies. The replenishing spirit pill you're holding has the same effect on me." Jiang Fan nodded faintly. Noted." Jin Zhongming's face lit up with joy, thinking Jiang Fan was about to hand him a miraculous pill. But Jiang Fan simply tapped the ground with the tip of his foot, striding away without a backward glance, and said, "Find a good-natured person willing to help you." I can't afford to help." They hadn't been far apart earlier. Jin Zhongming's complaints that Jiang Fan had arrived too late rang loud and clear in his ears. What kind of person was this? Besides, even without those earlier complaints, Jiang Fan wouldn't have given Jin Zhongming a pill after witnessing his previous behavior. Jin Zhongming's face froze. He quickly realized that Jiang Fan had overheard his earlier grumblings. Liang Feiyan glanced at him gleefully, unafraid to mock him. "Senior brother Jin, I suggest you leave the canyon quickly. In your current state, even a stray beast king could easily take your life." Jin Zhongming's heart quivered. Unwillingly, he watched their retreating figures before finally resolving to leave this treacherous land. But as he trudged along, his frustration grew. Just because of one complaint, the treatment he received compared to Liang Feiyan and Xia Chaoge was worlds apart. One was about to follow the senior to collect demon cores. The other was slinking away miserably. Why? Suddenly, he noticed the countless corpses piled around him, their demon cores untouched, and his eyes lit up. Ha ha ha, they left me behind. I can just take these myself, can't I? So many demon cores worth at least 1,000 merit points. If I take them back to Sunset City, what can they do to stop me? His master, Kong Yuanba, was in Sunset City after all. Could this man possibly demand the demon cores back from Kong Yuanba? Without hesitation, he approached one of the demon beasts, just as he was about to slice open its belly. Suddenly, darkness enveloped his vision. A hefty ox hoof mercilessly slammed into his face. Exhausted as he was, Jin Zhongming couldn't evade. He was struck squarely, blacking out immediately and collapsing to the ground. Bai spat disdainfully. How bold, you dare try stealing Jiang Fan Brothers' demon cores. The spiritual horse also wandered over. Its unyielding sense of competition compelled it to join in. It lowered its head, thrusting its horn forward. The pointed horn pierced directly into Jin Zhongming's buttocks. The unconscious Jin Zhongming twitched uncontrollably. Meanwhile, Jiang Fan, with Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan in tow, continued pursuing the Beast Kings. Compared to head-on fighting, chasing them down was much easier. The Beast Kings only cared about fleeing, too scared to stop and resist. The result was a massive and effortless slaughter for the three. Elsewhere, Wu Manyu and her group were struggling. As the beast tide surged more violently, they faced the desperate counterattacks of the dying Beast Kings. Aside from Wu Manyu, who was slightly better off, the other three were severely injured, incapacitated, and lying atop a cliff. Alone, Wu Manyu could no longer hold the line as her spiritual power drained completely. Pale-faced, she slumped onto a patterned python's back, watching helplessly as the Beast Kings swarmed past beneath her gaze. A rough estimate. No fewer than 20 Beast Kings had escaped. Damn it! What on earth is going on? At first, they had managed to hold back the beast tide, but for some unknown reason, the later Beast Kings charged with an almost maddened ferocity, leading to their current predicament. At that moment, a low voice called out, "Senior, there's a 5th-level core formation one left over there." Wu Manyu heard the sound and raised her head. Only then did she notice that 3 people, covered in blood, were chasing the remaining few Beast Kings. She immediately understood why the Beast Kings were going berserk. She angrily said, "Is this your doing?" Jiang Fan had just finished slaying the last demon beast. Suddenly, he heard a human voice and immediately looked over warily. He saw a giant patterned python with a dull expression. On its back lay a figure in a black robe and mask with an extremely enticing figure. He thought for a moment and understood, saying, "No wonder the demon beasts were using wheel tactics. So, it was you causing trouble behind the scenes." He had sensed something odd for a while. Since when were demon beasts also skilled in military tactics? Now, seeing this mysterious human and the obviously controlled Beast King beneath them, he suddenly understood. Wu Manyu angrily said, "I haven't blamed you yet. This group of demon beasts could have been completely annihilated, but 20 of them escaped because of you." Jiang Fan's heart ached upon hearing this. 20 demon beasts, that was 400 merit points. He couldn't help but angrily say, "You are so useless. Controlling a 5th-level core formation Beast King leader and still letting them all escape." Ha! Wu Manyu was so angry she slapped the snake's head and stood up, causing her chest to bounce violently. "I'm useless. Do you know how fierce the Beast King's desperate counterattacks were under your slaughter? Not even a 6th-level core formation beast can withstand it." Jiang Fan said coldly, "Don't you have a brain? Who told you to block them head-on? Why didn't you make this snake collapse the canyon and block the exit?" Wu Manyu was momentarily stunned. "This seems very reasonable." "You." Wu Manyu blushed and angrily changed the subject. "That's none of your business. These demon beasts were lured to the canyon by us after days of hard work. Leave immediately, and hand over all the demon cores you dug up. They're all ours. You can't take any." Ha! Almost got Xia Chaoge killed, and she hasn't settled that account yet. How dare she demand demon cores? "Or what?" Jiang Fan said coldly. Wu Manyu squinted her eyes, "Or you'll get a taste of being chased by a 5th-level core formation demon beast." With that, she pointed to the small black flag in her hand. The dull giant python suddenly raised its head high, flicking its scarlet tongue, exuding a terrifying 5th-level core formation aura. Both Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan looked serious. A 5th-level core formation Beast King was extraordinarily powerful. Plus, there was Wu Manyu and the other 3 mysterious humans. With just the 3 of them, just as they thought this, Jiang Fan suddenly shouted, "Soul-shocking stab!" Howl, a substantial soul nail, violently pierced the soul of the patterned python. It screamed in pain. Its massive body crashed to the ground with a thud. Wu Manyu on its head was thrown flying. Using her last bit of spiritual power, she barely managed to stabilize her stance. Patterned python, what's wrong? Get up. Watching the python roll on the ground, gradually losing its struggle. Wu Manyu was greatly shocked and hastily performed a spell on the small black flag. But then, with a bang, the small black flag suddenly exploded. The splintered pieces crashed into her body. This time she wasn't so lucky, being blown away by the explosion's aftershock. The front of her robe was blasted open, exposing strips of glaringly white skin. The patterned python, already weakened when controlled, couldn't withstand a soul-shocking stab. It was instantly killed, its soul obliterated. With the python's death, the controlling array flag self-destructed. Jiang Fan pointed his sword at Wu Manyu's white neck, her spiritual power completely depleted and injured. The taste of being chased by a fifth-level core formation beast I won't know. But you can certainly taste being hunted by me. The three people clinging to the cliff were startled. They quickly jumped down, clasped their hands, and pleaded, "Senior, please show mercy. We won't take the demon beasts here, they're all yours, Senior." The three were extremely nervous. Someone who could easily kill a fifth-level core formation beast from a distance using an unknown method. Who wouldn't be terrified? Jiang Fan sheathed his sword and coldly hummed, "Don't let me see you again." Scram! The three immediately helped Wu Manyu and fled towards the canyon entrance in a somewhat disheveled manner. Wu Manyu bit her seductive red lips. Her almond-shaped eyes filled with humiliation. All her efforts, the merit from over 100 beast kings, all given to someone else. Since practicing the puppetry technique, when had she ever suffered such a loss? "Bastard, don't let me know who you are, or I'll never let it go." The three companions exchanged bitter smiles. Usually Wu Manyu was the one manipulating others. Today she suffered a huge loss. With her personality, she would never let it go. It's just unknown. Next time they clashed, who would suffer more, in the canyon? Jiang Fan and the others quickly dug out the demon cores. He directly stored the patterned python's body into the heavenly thunder stone. This scene scared Liang Feiyan, a S-space storage device. In the entire nine-sect land, there were only a few space storage devices. Those who possessed such items were undoubtedly the peak of the powerful ones. He couldn't help but look at Xia Chaoge. He found that she also showed a surprised expression. Clearly, Xia Chaoge also realized that this senior's status was far higher than imagined. "Senior, the demon cores are collected." Xia Chaoge brought the collected demon cores to Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan waved his hand, saying, "Just take what you killed earlier." How could that be? They and Liang Feiyan were only behind Jiang Fan, picking up leftovers. How could it count as their credit? "Chaoge doesn't dare," Xia Chaoge said respectfully, presenting them. Jiang Fan patted her shoulder. "No need for politeness between us." Liang Feiyan looked at the two with a strange look. Hearing the tone, it seemed like the senior and Xia Chaoge had an unusual relationship. Xia Chaoge jerked back as if electrocuted. Her eyes showed a hint of vigilance and anger. She said seriously, "Senior, please respect yourself." Jiang Fan looked embarrassed. Did this girl misunderstand something? At this moment, Bai and the spiritual horse each carried heavy bags, running over with cheerful steps. Xia Chaoge looked and was delighted. "You're safe, that's good." She had been worried that the spiritual horse would be hunted by the beast kings after breaking through. Seeing it come safely towards her, she was genuinely happy. However, the spiritual horse ignored her, directly ran to Jiang Fan, wagging its tail fawningly. Xia Chaoge was a bit confused. Her own mount ignored its master. Instead, it fawned over an outsider. Immediately, the spiritual horse spoke human words, saying something that made her body tremble. "Brother Jiang Fan, I dug more than Bai." The spiritual horse tilted its head, looking proud. Xia Chaoge's eyes widened gradually. Liang Feiyan also seemed struck by lightning, murmuring, "What did you just call him?" Liang Feiyan could hardly believe what she heard. "Brother Jiang Fan? This person who slaughtered over 50 beast kings, this one who invisibly killed a fifth level of core formation beast king, who possessed a space storage device. Could it be Jiang Fan?" The spiritual horse turned its head to look. Only then did it notice Xia Chaoge and quickly said, "Master is here too." "Brother Jiang Fan is really amazing, really saved the master." Bai chuckled. "You really are a good mount. Finally remember you still have a master." It came to Jiang Fan, looking loyal. "Unlike me, my heart only has brother." Jiang Fan felt chills. He pushed it away. "You make me sick." Then he wiped his face. barely revealing a bit of his appearance beneath the thick blood scab. "Ah, it's really junior brother Jiang." Liang Feiyan was already too shocked to speak. The senior he kept calling turned out to be Jiang Fan. Xia Chaoge's beautiful eyes also widened in surprise. "It's really uncle," Jiang Fan said grumpily. "Who else could it be? An old pervert who doesn't respect himself?" Suddenly, Xia Chaoge's face turned red. No wonder Jiang Fan would say, "Given our relationship." Turns out, there really was a relationship between them, a pure teacher-nephew relationship, and she misunderstood it to the heavens. Xia Chaoge felt embarrassed, shyly chiding, "Why didn't Uncle say earlier?" Jiang Fan rolled his eyes. "Did it need to be said? Among the disciples in the snowfield, besides me, who else would risk their life to save you?" Xia Chaoge felt complicated inside, both happy that Jiang Fan cared about her very much, and ashamed for not recognizing Jiang Fan in time. "Anyway, thank you, Uncle, for the life-saving grace." Xia Chaoge sighed a bit helplessly. She had always tried to avoid owing Jiang Fan a favor, but somehow she owed more and more. Now it's a life debt. How is she going to repay that? Jiang Fan smiled and said, "Let's not talk about this. Where do you plan to go next?" Liang Feiyan said. "We originally intended to clear the demon beasts in the canyon, then rush to the most fiercely fought frontline, Boundary Mountain. It is the critical place contested by the human clan and the demon race. Whoever controls this mountain controls the passage in and out between the demon race and the human clan. Last time the loss of this mountain led to the invasion by demon beasts. This time, our large-scale counterattack will inevitably lead to fierce contention at Boundary Mountain. This is a great opportunity for us to kill demon beasts and build merit." A mountain. How could it affect the passage of two races? Having been in Sunset City for so long, he had never been to the front line. Taking this opportunity, he would have a good look. The group immediately packed their things and set off. However, how to divide the mounts became a problem. Not because there was one more Liang Feiyan to fit. With so many spirit beasts, seating 10 people was not an issue. "But Brother Jiang Fan, ride me. I'm way more comfortable than that dumb cow," the spiritual horse enthusiastically offered. Bai angrily buted it with its horns. "Shameless stealing my master," the spiritual horse snorted. "Isn't your master Nangong Ziolan? Brother Jiang Fan is a master without a master. Anyone can compete for him." "Ah, I'll fight you then," Bai raged. The spiritual horse gritted its teeth. "I'm not afraid of you in the slightest." This scene directly stupefied Liang Feiyan. Only disciples compete for spirit beasts. Today was an eye-opener, spirit beasts competing for a master. Jiang Fan was in a bad mood. Each gave them a punch on the forehead. "Behave yourselves." After a scolding, he rewarded the 2 spirit beasts with a bit of treat, threw a piece of clam meat to each. "Take it," the 2 spirit beasts then rejoiced. They were competing just to please Jiang Fan for a piece of clam meat, looking at Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan. Jiang Fan also threw each of them a piece. "You eat one too. The front line is very dangerous. It's best if you can break through a realm on the way. If not, it can also help increase your cultivation a bit." The 2 were stunned. When the clam meat was in hand, they realized its extraordinary quality. Liang Feiyan was grateful. "Great kindness of junior brother Jiang, I will never forget." Jiang Fan joked. "If you really want to repay me, just steal the second half of Su Qingyang Sr.'s sword control technique for me to see." Back then, Su Qingyang had only given Jiang Fan half of it. He mastered the sword heart. Its power was evident, and combined with the purple sword, it once was his trump card. Yet with stronger targets encountered, it gradually became less effective. He wondered if the second half had greater power. Of course, he was just joking. To get the second half, he had to go in person. To his surprise, Liang Feiyan took it seriously. She pondered, "No need to steal. Due to my outstanding talent in sword Dao, the great Supreme Elder showed me the complete sword control technique." What? Jiang Fan was speechless. Such an important swordsmanship technique, Su Qingyang gave away so easily. Thinking carefully, it was probably because Su Qingyang felt there were no worthy successors and thus didn't care much. As a result, even an outsider like him could receive the first half as a reward. "However, my talent was limited. I couldn't master it," Liang Feiyan self-deprecatingly said. "After neglecting it for a while, I can't remember it all. How about this? When we return to Sunset City, I'll write down what I remember, then find an elder who has seen the complete work to verify, fill in the gaps. I'll definitely give it to you without a word missing. Consider it repaying today's kindness." Jiang Fan was overjoyed, cupped his hands, and said, "Then I thank senior brother Liang in advance. Let's set off quickly." He was already eager to complete the frontline mission sooner and return to Sunset City. I'll ride by with senior brother Liang. Xia Chaoge, you still ride your spiritual horse. Spirit beasts were large. But after all, there are differences between men and women. This arrangement was best. Xia Chaoge shook her head. Let senior brother Liang ride the spiritual horse. I'll ride by with uncle. Huh. Liang Feiyan showed a strange expression. Xia Chaoge actually took the initiative to ride with Jiang Fan, not avoiding suspicion at all. Seeing his look, Xia Chaoge calmly said, This spiritual horse no longer considers me its master. Whoever wants to ride it can ride it. Liang Feiyan was speechless. Is Xia Chaoge that petty? Just say you want to ride with junior brother Jiang. This Jiang Fan hesitated for a moment. Considering the urgency of time, he agreed. All right. Anyway, Bai was wide-backed. Staying farther away from her would be fine. They each mounted their rides, stepping on the countless Beast King corpses heading out of the canyon. Jiang Fan casually checked his demon cores. In the canyon battle, he obtained over 60 demon cores. Adding the 40 he had before, he now had a total of 100 demon cores. He was a bit shocked at the accumulation speed. He couldn't help but sigh, really should thank that woman earlier. The Beast Kings who crossed the line were almost all gathered here by her. It's a pity she was too useless, letting 20 or so escape. Liang Feiyan smiled wryly. Only junior brother Jiang dares to say the disciples of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion are useless. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples. Jiang Fan looked surprised. Liang Feiyan said, It seems junior brother Jiang doesn't know. Many disciples of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion were involved. We encountered one before, chasing a group of 4th-level, 5th-level core formation demon beasts alone. Can you believe it? Xia Chaoge lightly nodded, corroborating Liang Feiyan's words. We did indeed see that person from afar. Very strong. Jiang Fan stroked his chin, thoughtfully said, If there is no other group of 4th-level and 5th-level core formation powerful beast groups on this snowfield, then the person you saw should be me. The air suddenly froze. Liang Feiyan stared at Jiang Fan with wide eyes, her mouth opening and closing, but she couldn't speak at all. He couldn't express his current feelings with words anymore. Back then, the three of them marveled at the mighty figure from the Tianji Pavilion. Was it really Jiang Fan? Xia Chaoge was momentarily stunned, then burst into laughter. I almost forgot, martial uncle's greatest skill is neither medicine nor martial arts, but rather hiding his true abilities. It seemed that every time they met, martial uncle always gave her a fresh feeling. No matter how well you thought you knew him, he always had a new side to show. Meanwhile, Jiang Fan was still deep in thought. He wondered if the group he met earlier, led by Jian Linyuan, were also disciples of the Tianji Pavilion. But upon hearing Xia Chaoge's teasing remarks, he chuckled. Chaoge, aren't you also hiding your true abilities? Xia Chaoge regarded him with a puzzled look. Jiang Fan turned to the spiritual horse walking alongside. What did you call me earlier? The spiritual horse blinked its big eyes. Brother Jiang Fan, earlier than that. Let me think a pervert, that was what my master said, it had nothing to do with me. The spiritual horse heartlessly sold Xia Chaoge out. Jiang Fan looked at her with a half-smile. Talking behind your martial uncle's back. That's not quite like your usual demeanor. Liang Feiyan, listening from the side, was utterly amazed, as if re-meeting Xia Chaoge. Xia Chaoge was famously serene, neither happy nor sorrowful, like a fairy who did not partake in the affairs of mortals. Gossiping behind someone's back was something she would disdain to do. Xia Chaoge's delicate body stiffened slightly, then she softly scolded the spiritual horse. When did I ever slander martial uncle like that? What I meant to say was, she stumbled over her words, clearly, that wasn't a good phrase either. The spiritual horse shrank its neck and knocked its head with a hoof. Right, I got it wrong. Not a pervert. A gentleman of flowers? Jiang Fan almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. Was there a difference in meaning? It was just that the latter wasn't as straightforward. Xia Chaoge blushed deeply. Her red lips pressed tightly together, unable to suppress her embarrassment. For the first time in her life, she had gossiped about someone to a spiritual horse, and it instantly reached that person's ears. She had lost more face today than in the past decade combined. She murmured, I didn't really slander you, martial uncle. Martial uncle indeed has many beautiful women around him. Liang Feiyan immediately pounded his thigh and said through gritted teeth, Junior sister Xia, you finally spoke the truth. Junior brother Jiang does have an endless stream of stunning women around him. A gentleman of flowers is no misnomer. Jiang Fan laughed and chided him. He patted Bai's head, urging it to set off. 7 days later, after a long trek, Liang Feiyan finally arrived at the front lines. The sight that greeted him was beyond shocking. A towering ancient wall, 100 feet high, reaching into the clouds, stretched for thousands of miles to the left and right, without an end in sight. It looked like a colossal serpent lying across the sky. The wall was covered with the worn scars of age. Great traces of destruction had left large marks, and some sections bore ancient bloodstains, dried and turned into black smudges over the eons. Is this something humans could build? Liang Feiyan was overwhelmed with awe. Liang Feiyan also gazed in shock, saying, "Of course not. Building a 100-foot-tall wall to encircle a city is within our capability. But this is a great wall stretching for thousands of miles." Xia Chaoge stood up, looking solemnly at the wall. This was built in ancient times by all races on the continent to resist the ancient giants. Only by uniting the strength of all races could such an epic monument be created. Liang Feiyan was familiar with the ancient giants. They were the dreadful entities that nearly brought all life to the brink of extinction. To preserve the spark of life, all races had to build such a grand fortress. He felt a tinge of tragic heroism. The races must have been in utter despair back then. Ironically, after the giants were vanquished, the races didn't get along well at all. Fighting broke out in front of this historic symbol of unity. "That mountain in the middle is Boundary Mountain," Xia Chaoge pointed out. Liang Feiyan followed her finger's direction. A magnificent snow-covered mountain, also 100 feet tall, came into his view. The mountain's belly had been hollowed out, made into a large gate that could be closed, facilitating the mobilization of ancient armies. It served as the city gate. Due to the ravages of time, the gate had long decayed and fallen apart. Several of the strong human warriors were guarding the pass at its gate. Because the gate was narrow, only one demon beast could pass at a time. The human warriors could form a line of 10 or more. This gave the human defenders a significant advantage. It created a situation where one man could hold off 1,000. However, the demon beasts were not easy opponents. Unable to pass through the gate, some beasts excelled at climbing over the 100-foot-tall Boundary Mountain. So human warriors patrolled all around Boundary Mountain. Fierce battles erupted frequently. Evidently, both sides were fiercely contesting the mountain. At that moment, a sudden roar came from the peak of Boundary Mountain. Liang Feiyan and his companions immediately looked over. They saw a group of agile ape-like demonic beasts successfully break through the defenses and climb over the mountain. They numbered 7 or 8 in total. Upon landing, they swiftly dispersed in multiple directions, delving deeper into human territory. The human warriors below quickly reacted and gave chase. But these mountain-sized apes, despite their bulk, were remarkably nimble. Among the chasing warriors, only 2 managed to catch up and engage 2 of the apes in combat. The remaining 5 continued to flee in different directions. Liang Feiyan's eyes glinted with a smile. "Isn't this perfect? 6-core formation realm first-level beast kings. Let's see who can gather the most demon cores." Liang Feiyan showed a hint of competition. In the past, he wouldn't have entertained such thoughts. After seeing Liang Feiyan slaughter 50 beast kings, bloodied and unyielding like a towering wall, he felt utterly daunted. Now it's different. In the past 7 days, with the help of the clam meat, he had reached the 4th layer of core formation. Though still not a match for Liang Feiyan, he now had some grounds for comparison. "All right," Liang Feiyan promptly chased after one of the 8 beast kings. Xia Chaoge patted Bai's back, using the force to leap into the air. She grinned mischievously at Liang Feiyan. "If Martial Uncle wins, Chaoge won't call you a gentleman of flowers anymore." Liang Feiyan's lips twitched. "It's not over yet." He shook his head, targeting an ape demonic beast king speeding away. He casually performed a sword control technique. Without looking at the result, he swiftly pursued another ape demonic beast king. "Thunder Dragon Lightning Leg!" He stomped it and immediately eyed another beast king. At this moment, Liang Feiyan had successfully slain his beast king. Xia Chaoge had also quickly killed 2 more. Only 1 ape demonic beast king remained, and all 3 of them focused on it. It was scared out of its wits. "What's going on?" Just crossed the Great Wall and encountered 3 terrifying individuals. 5 out of 6 companions were killed in an instant. It shivered. It suddenly turned and ran back toward Boundary Mountain, wailing. At this moment, it only wanted to go home to its mother. Xia Chaoge smiled slightly. She suddenly demonstrated a movement technique of remarkable skill. She covered 10 feet in 1 step. She almost matched Liang Feiyan. Coincidentally, the ape beast king ran in her direction. Jiang Fan, being far away, had no time to catch up. Liang Feiyan slapped his thigh. Ah, junior sister Xia got the upper hand. But when did she learn a movement technique? Xia Chaoge quickly reached the ape beast king. With a delicate hand, she executed a powerful palm technique. It was of mid-earth level quality. She smiled triumphantly at Jiang Fan in the distance. Chaoge wins! However, just as she spoke, the ape beast king in front of her seemed controlled by some force. It was suddenly dragged back into the air, and in midair, something terrifyingly slashed it into pieces. Jiang Fan leisurely gathered the heavenly mountain silk strands scattered on the ground, saying playfully, "Is it that easy to win against your martial uncle?" Xia Chaoge paused, then smiled ruefully. "I forgot, martial uncle's greatest trait is hiding his true abilities." See, he just displayed another technique she had never seen before. At that moment, a group of people approached from the direction of Boundary Mountain. The leaders were 2 elders and a group of 9 sect disciples. They all looked dissatisfied. The disciples of the Tianji Pavilion are becoming increasingly brazen. Snatching merits so openly, do they even give the 9 sect disciples a chance? The second elder of the Supreme Sect, Lu Ziyunian, fumed angrily. Another elder from the Green Cloud Sect's Heavenly Sword Peak, Shikaishan, was also incensed. "I want to see which Tianji Pavilion disciples are so shameless." No wonder the 2 elders guarding this place were angry. Originally, the disciples of the 9 sect had all made some gains on the front lines. They could all successfully exchange for the desired resources through their own efforts, and then improve their strength, guarding the front lines more diligently, thus creating a virtuous cycle. However, many disciples of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion did not follow the rules, secretly coming to seize the Beast Kings. If they only defeated those Beast Kings at the 4th level of core formation and above, which the disciples of the 9 sect found difficult to kill, it would be fine. But they indiscriminately killed both big and small. They did not hesitate to snatch from those at the 1st level of core formation as well, giving the 9 sect disciples no chance at all. Even worse, when some 9 sect disciples were besieging the Beast Kings, they came out and injured the 9 sect disciples, snatching away the demon cores. Their actions were so vile that it made people furious. They were all Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples, so the 2 elders did not dare to do much to them. Whenever they were discovered, all they could do was shout to drive them away. But they showed no remorse and only became more unscrupulous. The reason the defense line was breached just now was because a few disciples of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion injured the 9 sect disciples to steal the credit. As a result, they themselves could not stop all the monkey beast kings, leading several of them to sneak in. So be it. At least those Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples knew to wear masks and act secretly. But the 3 in front of them actually showed their faces openly. It was simply outrageous. However, when Li Qingfeng and Lu Ziyunian arrived with a group of disciples, filled with righteous indignation ready to settle accounts, they stood still in astonishment at the sight of the 3 in front of them. Xia Chaoge, Liang Feiyan, and Jiang Fan. Li Qingfeng's face, full of anger, transformed into one of surprise and joy. "Oh my. Jiang Fan, it's you guys. You guys slayed the Beast King so quickly, I thought you were Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples." It was understandable that they mistook the 3 for Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples, for those 6 monkey Beast Kings were slayed within just a few breaths. How could this have been done by 9 sect disciples? It was only upon approaching that they realized. Among those who took action were the #1 prodigy of the 9 sect, Xia Chaoge, and Liang Feiyan, ranked in the top 5. Lu Ziyunian scrutinized and asked, "Chaoge, what realm are you in now?" Xia Chaoge replied, "I recently broke through to the 5th level of core formation." "What?" Li Qingfeng revealed a shocked expression coupled with deep envy. The Supreme Sect was indeed blessed to have such an excellent disciple. The disciples behind them also showed deep respect and awe. No wonder she was the #1 prodigy, Xia Chaoge, always someone to be admired. While they were still striving for the 2nd layer of core formation, Xia Chaoge already left them far behind, advancing to the 5th level of core formation. The gap between people was greater than the gap between human and dog. Lu Ziyunian was instantly filled with excitement, clapping his hands and laughing heartily. "Good, good, good. Chaoge, you are indeed the greatest pride of our Supreme Sect. So these Beast Kings here were all killed by you." Everyone felt relieved. No wonder the 6 Beast Kings were dealt with so quickly. With a powerhouse like Xia Chaoge, who was at the 5th level of core formation, everything made sense. But who knew? Xia Chaoge sighed lightly. I only slayed 2 of them. I was not the one who killed the most. What? Such a strong Xia Chaoge was outshone by someone else. Everyone's gaze naturally fell on Liang Feiyan. Only Liang Feiyan had the capacity to compete with Xia Chaoge. Lu Ziyunian was momentarily stunned, then awkwardly praised. The chief of the Myriad Sword sect, your reputation is indeed well-deserved. To be able to outshine our Xia Chaoge, your master must be delighted to hear this. The disciples all showed deep admiration. No wonder the Myriad Sword sect had the strongest attack power. To outshine Xia Chaoge was truly remarkable. Li Qingfeng, filled with envy, sighed slightly. All the good disciples belong to others. As an elder of the 9 sect, watching the exceptional disciples of other sects excelling time and again, Li Qingfeng felt extremely disheartened. Although Jiang Fan had recently shown great potential, compared to Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan, there was no comparison at all. He patted Jiang Fan on the shoulder, saying, "Kid, you must work hard. Take Liang Feiyan as an example and strive to catch up. Do not disappoint your master nor let down the Green Cloud sect." He did not mention Xia Chaoge at all, because chasing Xia Chaoge was too unrealistic. If Jiang Fan could achieve the same as Liang Feiyan in this life, the Green Cloud sect would be able to hold their heads high amongst the 9 sect. How could they dare to dream of producing someone like Xia Chaoge? That was an unattainable dream. The others listening had no strong reactions. It was the most common form of encouragement. But in Liang Feiyan's ears, it carried a different meaning. He quickly cupped his hands, smiling bitterly. "Senior Li, how could you flatter me so? I am not qualified to be junior brother Jiang's example." Jiang Fan was more suitable to be his example. How could he be a model for Jiang Fan? If Jiang Fan reached his level, there would only be one way. Jiang Fan would have to cripple his own strength. Li Qingfeng praised. "You are quite modest. With your current performance, you deserve all the compliments." Liang Feiyan dared not let them continue misunderstanding. He repeatedly cupped his hands, saying, "Senior Li, Senior Lu, fellow junior brothers and sisters, I am ashamed. I only killed 1 beast king. The remaining 3 were all slayed by junior brother Jiang. I should be the one learning from him." The dozen or so people were left in a daze. Lu Ziyunian was momentarily stunned. "You mean the one surpassing Xia Chaoge was this kid Jiang Fan?" Li Qingfeng also seemed a bit dazed, saying, "Jiang Fan must have had good luck, right?" However one thought about it, it was impossible for Jiang Fan to surpass Xia Chaoge. At this moment, Xia Chaoge spoke. "The 3 of us had a fair competition, to see who could kill the most. Uncle Master Jiang was superior, and both Brother Liang and I lost convincingly." The crowd fell silent again for a moment. All eyes turned oddly to Jiang Fan. A fair competition, and Jiang Fan could surpass Xia Chaoge. Liang Feiyan laughed heartily. "You all seem to have a deep misunderstanding of junior brother Jiang's strength. At the very least, I am not a match for junior brother Jiang." What? Everyone was stunned. Liang Feiyan, the renowned prodigy of the time, admitted he was inferior to Jiang Fan. Li Qingfeng's beard trembled in disbelief. Jiang Fan, is this true?" The Green Cloud sect, having a disciple stronger than Liang Feiyan, was beyond his wildest dreams. Now he was being told that the Green Cloud sect had a disciple even stronger than Liang Feiyan. Jiang Fan chuckled in surprise. "I have never fought with Brother Liang. It is hard to say who would win or lose." Liang Feiyan rolled his eyes. "Junior Brother Jiang, don't be so modest. With your strength, you could defeat me several times over. It's likely even junior sister Xia may not be able to secure a win against you." Though Xia Chaoge had broken through to the 5th level of core formation, Jiang Fan had previously used a terrifying secret technique to mysteriously kill a 5th-level core formation python demon with 1 strike. Should the 2 fight, the outcome was truly hard to predict. Xia Chaoge watched Jiang Fan surrounded like this, looking uncomfortable, and slightly pursed her lips. Uncle Master actually had such an awkward moment. She secretly smiled and added fuel to the fire. "Brother Liang's words are too conservative. In a spar, Uncle Master Jiang and I might be evenly matched. In a real fight, I'd definitely die." What? Everyone present was utterly shocked at this moment. They said Jiang Fan's strength was above that of Liang Feiyan. That was already enough to shock them for a year. Now it was said that Jiang Fan's strength was above that of Xia Chaoge, the number 1 in the 9 sect. Moreover, it was Xia Chaoge herself who said it. The shock in their hearts was already indescribable. Lu Ziyunian panicked and said, "Chaoge, don't disparage yourself and boost others' morale. I recently witnessed Jiang Fan's strength in the mines. At most, he's on par with Zhu Wanchang." How could he be as exaggerated as you and Liang Feiyan say? He admitted that Jiang Fan indeed had surprising strength, but it wasn't as ridiculously high as the two had claimed. Xia Chaoge calmly said, "I speak no falsehood. Not long ago in Skybreaking Canyon. Junior sister Xia, let's not bring up the past." Jiang Fan promptly interrupted her. Xia Chaoge then realized that mentioning the incident in Skybreaking Canyon would expose the fact that Jiang Fan had harvested more than 60 demon cores. Such a large number of demon cores would certainly provoke envy, especially with a group of powerful Tianji Pavilion disciples around. She immediately stopped talking. Lu Ziyunian spread his hands and said, "See, you can't even explain it. Do I not understand Jiang Fan's strength?" Li Qingfeng was also slightly disappointed. He had been greatly excited just now. Smiling, he patted Jiang Fan on the shoulder and said, "It's okay. The fact that you can kill more beast kings than Xia Chaoge is already a brag-worthy achievement. It's normal to be less powerful than Xia Chaoge." He then looked at Lu Ziyunian and said, "We shouldn't stay away from Boundary Mountain for too long. Who knows what kind of trouble those Tianji Pavilion guys will cause?" Lu Ziyunian's expression turned serious. "Let's go, rush back quickly." Jiang Fan swiftly took out 3 demon cores and hurried along with them to Boundary Mountain. Along the way, he frowned frequently upon hearing about the actions of the Tianji Pavilion disciples on the front line. It would be one thing if they were just fighting for merit, but causing a Beast King invasion just to get a little more was too much. Don't think it was easy for them to kill a Beast King. For a Foundation establishment disciple, encountering a single Beast King was a life-and-death situation. Not to mention, if the Beast King invaded ordinary towns. A city like Lonely Boat City didn't even have a core formation expert. At most, their strongest were in the 3rd or 4th layer of the Foundation establishment realm. If a Beast King rampaged in, it would be like a natural disaster. It's unimaginable how many elderly and children would be killed or injured. "Elderly, are you just going to let it be?" Liang Feiyan's brows furrowed after hearing this. Li Qingfeng smiled bitterly and said, "They're Tianji Pavilion disciples with their masters backing them. How could we, as elders, discipline them? At most, we can give a verbal reprimand. If they don't listen, there's nothing more we can do." Jiang Fan understood the difficulty the 2 elders faced. It was like 2 children fighting, and even if one child suffered unfairly, the parents would find it hard to intervene directly. They could only argue with the other child's parents. If the elders resorted to bullying, it would definitely cause a conflict at the higher level. As elders of the 9 sect, how could they dare provoke the powerhouses of the Tianji Pavilion? He rubbed his chin and said, "If our disciples make a move, no matter the outcome, the Tianji Pavilion would have no grounds to complain, right?" Li Qingfeng nodded heavily. "Of course." They entered secretly. If they're beaten by their peers, how could they escalate the matter? Moreover, even if their elders want to back them up, they wouldn't lower themselves to quarrel with juniors. Lu Ziyunian hurriedly gestured for him to stop talking. "Don't say such unrealistic things aloud. If the Tianji Pavilion disciples hear it, they'll laugh at us 9 sect for indulging in fantasies." Li Qingfeng immediately stopped talking with a bitter smile. Indeed, it was self-consolation, because it was impossible for the 9 sect to have such powerful disciples. If they did, the Tianji Pavilion disciples wouldn't be so brazen. Lu Ziyunian said, "Chaoge, after you get to Boundary Mountain, try not to get entangled with the Tianji Pavilion disciples. Just focus on killing Beast Kings and earning merit for yourself. These Tianji Pavilion disciples will get their comeuppance sooner or later." Xia Chaoge didn't say anything. Obviously, she also felt that the actions of the Tianji Pavilion disciples were excessive. She glanced at Jiang Fan. She noticed Jiang Fan calmly watching the place where the monkey beast kings had broken through the defenses. She smiled knowingly. Silently, she thought, "I knew Master Uncle wouldn't stand idly by." She realized that she really liked this Master Uncle a lot. Every action he took perfectly aligned with her wishes. Of course, the fact that he had too many women around him was an exception. Not long after, Jiang Fan arrived at the foot of Boundary Mountain. Standing at the base, he could truly feel how vast Boundary Mountain was. Looking up, he couldn't see the top. The great walls on either side were even more magnificent and grand. The ancient and majestic pressure was overwhelming. You all act independently. This Boundary Mountain is huge, and there are demons everywhere. Li Qingfeng instructed a few disciples, and then, along with Lu Ziyunian, rushed into the mountain to patrol. Their main task was to guard against powerful beast kings that the disciples couldn't handle. Additionally, They would offer help if they saw disciples in danger. The task of dealing with low-tier beast kings mainly fell to the disciples. Liang Feiyan nodded. He utilized his movement technique, treading on snow and heading swiftly toward the mountain peak. Xia Chaoge also moved almost simultaneously. Liang Feiyan was stunned. Are those two really so in sync? Both want to teach the Tianji Pavilion disciples a lesson. Well, I want to go too, hee. On the mountain peak, Li Shiqian clutched her bleeding abdomen, her face as pale as paper. She leaned against a snow pile. The blood turned the snow pile red, seeping deep within. It made the snow pile strikingly vivid. Her face showed weakness and pain as she looked at the group of black-robed people in front of her, laughing and collecting demon cores from the slain beasts. Then she looked at the 9 sect disciples lying all around, writhing in pain. This included even the big senior brother, Xianxia. His injuries were the most serious, lying in a pool of blood, his life or death unknown. Just a while ago, while they struggled to resist the monkey beast king's onslaught, this group of Tianji Pavilion disciples suddenly appeared and attacked them from behind. The result was they were attacked from both sides and suffered heavy casualties. She had been knocked over by a monkey beast king, its sharp claws piercing a hole through her abdomen, but she was somewhat lucky. At least she survived. Some disciples were trampled to death by the monkey beast kings on the spot, with no remains left. You call yourselves Tianji Pavilion disciples. You're worse than bandits and robbers. Li Shiqian shouted with grief and indignation. Her words drew the attention of the black-robed people. Among them, a tall figure wearing a mask engraved with ancient sword patterns seemed to be the leader, and the others seemed to follow him. He turned his head and said mockingly, "Who said we're Tianji Pavilion disciples? You can eat food carelessly, but you can't speak carelessly." If they dared to cause such chaos, naturally, they would never admit to being Tianji Pavilion disciples. Beside him, a thin young man with eyes full of wickedness licked his lips. "Boss, since she thinks I'm a bandit, I'll be a bandit for once. I've been out for so long and I haven't touched a woman yet. This woman's body is exceptionally good." His greedy gaze fell on Li Shiqian's chest. He hungrily ogled her ample bosom. The tall man in a black robe said disdainfully, "She's covered in blood and you don't mind the filth. Once we get enough demon cores, we can have any fairy we want when we return." He wasn't really restraining his junior brother. Right now, a wave of beast kings was crashing into the boundary mountain. It was a great opportunity to earn demon cores. How could they waste it on a woman? The thin young man couldn't hold back, his eyes blazing. Those fairies you can buy with money, how could they compare to this top-grade body with a fiery temper like a little pepper? You guys go catch the beast king. I'll come find you later. The tall young man in the black robe said helplessly, "All right, as long as you're quick." The thin young man hurriedly said, "Boss, don't say such things." Ha ha ha. The tall young man led a group of laughing black-robed men to confront the beast tide. The thin young man snorted, "You said I was quick." He turned his eyes to Li Shiqian, smirking evilly. "Little beauty, to prove to my big brother that I'm a true man. You'll have to suffer a bit." Li Shiqian backed away in fear, saying, "Don't come near me. I'd rather die than let you defile me." The thin young man's eyes burned even hotter. "Ha ha, I love your wild spirit. Little beauty, serve me well and I'll ensure your future is bright." He strode forward, just as he stepped within a yard of Li Shiqian. Li Shiqian glanced at Xianxia lying in a pool of blood. She looked at the distant, mangled corpses of the 9 sect disciples. Her eyes showed a hint of sadness. Sighing in a voice only she could hear, "Consider this a bit of revenge for you all." She raised her hand. A glowing, explosive jade talisman already activated flickered in her palm. It was about to detonate. The thin young man's face changed. "What are you doing?" "Stop it," Li Shiqian sneered. "Didn't you want me to serve you?" "I'll serve you to the heavens." Indeed, she had long resolved to die together. As soon as this man got close enough to the blast range, she would decisively activate the talisman. She was typically cowardly and fearful, but not afraid of death, between being defiled by this disgusting thing and death. She chose to die together. This way, at least the 9 sect people would look up to her and praise her once, saying Li Shiqian had backbone and chastity. However, just as she was ready to face the impending explosion, the thin young man suddenly laughed eerily. His eyes flashed and a green glow shot into Li Shiqian's eyes. Li Shiqian felt a wave of dizziness. When she regained consciousness, the thin young man was already in front of her. The explosive jade talisman in her palm had been snatched by the thin young man. Without spiritual power to sustain it, the explosive jade talisman quickly dimmed. "Ha ha, you really thought you scared me. I was just toying with you. If I couldn't handle this little bit of trouble, how could I be a bandit? Ha ha ha. The thin young man crushed the explosive jade talisman into jade dust, letting it drift down. Li Shiqian's pupils shrank dramatically. She hurriedly grabbed the sword from the ground, but as soon as she made a move, the thin young man grabbed her wrist. With a wicked laugh, his other claw reached for her chest. Little beauty just obediently served me. You can't escape from my grasp, ah! Suddenly, the thin young man let out a scream. His hand, which was reaching toward Li Shiqian's chest, was severed at the wrist. The gushing blood sprayed all over Li Shiqian's face. Li Shiqian's anger froze, turning to confusion. What happened? Why did the thin young man's hand suddenly get severed? She only vaguely saw a flash of unbelievably fast purple light. This formidable fighter from the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, second only to the tall man in the black robe, had his hand cut off. As a voice rang out, Li Shiqian's body trembled violently. She turned her head in disbelief. Not far behind her on an ice spike, a young man in white stood with his hands behind his back. His black hair fluttered and his long robe billowed. His cold gaze was even more chilling than the snow. Jiang Fan? Li Shiqian's eyes widened, filled with disbelief. This scene, which wouldn't even appear in her dreams, was unfolding right before her eyes. The thin young man, clutching his severed arm, was writhing in pain, his face contorted. He glared at Jiang Fan, who had appeared out of nowhere, and shouted, "Who are you?" Swoosh, a purple light flew over, revolving around Jiang Fan in midair. This sight shocked the thin young man. Sword control technique. Someone had actually mastered Su Qingyang's sword control technique. Jiang Fan spoke coldly. "You injure my 9-sect disciples, insult 9-sect women. And you ask who I am? You should ask yourself if you have any last words." Upon hearing Jiang Fan was just a 9-sect disciple, the thin young man immediately felt relieved. After all, he was a 4th level of core formation cultivator. In the 9th sect, only the renowned Xia Chaoge could match him. Everyone else were mere trash in his eyes. I thought it was some master ruining my fun. A 9-sect trash dares to ambush me and cut off my hand. The thin young man's eyes turned vicious. Feeling deeply humiliated, "I've changed my mind. I'm not playing with this woman anymore. I'll play you to death first. I'll peel your skin layer by layer and draw out your tendons one by one, to show you the cost of meddling in others' affairs." Bang, he suddenly launched an attack. As his foot stomped, the ground let out a muffled sound. His entire being, filled with a fierce aura, angrily charged at Jiang Fan. Heart Destruction Fist! A first-layer Earth-level technique instantly struck out. Jiang Fan raised his hand coldly, calmly countering with a wandering dragon palm. Blurt, at the moment of impact. The thin young man felt as if he had been hit by an ancient giant elephant. With a look of utter disbelief, he spat blood and flew backward. He landed heavily on the corpse of an ape beast king. Blurt, the second heavy impact made him spit out another huge mouthful of blood. You're not a 9-sect disciple," the thin young man exclaimed. How could a disciple possess such terrifying power? He must be a deacon of some sect, trying to oppress the younger generation of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. This would provoke the elder generation on both sides. Thinking of this, he laughed angrily. "What audacity! Knowing who I am, you dare bully the weak? Just wait. Wait for my master to seek an explanation." At this moment, Xia Chaoge arrived promptly. When she saw the ground full of wounded and even several 9-sect disciples' corpses, she, who was always serene, became more determined in her gaze. When she noticed the tall black-robed man, she didn't hesitate to draw her sword. "Xia Chaoge!" The thin young man recognized Xia Chaoge, this unrivaled beauty and power of 9th sect, who wasn't interested in her. He had seen countless portraits of Xia Chaoge. Each time he was astonished by her beauty, so he immediately recognized her. What made his heart skip a beat was, Jiang Fan stopped her, saying, "This person is too filthy. Don't dirty your hands. Let me do it." The thin young man was startled and quickly said, "Xia Chaoge, I'm a disciple of Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Tell this 9-sect deacon the consequences of a senior attacking me." This young deacon didn't understand the gravity of the situation. Surely Xia Chaoge would understand the stakes. Xia Chaoge was momentarily stunned, then coldly said, "You misunderstood. My martial uncle is also a disciple." "What, a disciple?" The skinny young man gasped. The incredibly powerful youth in front of him was actually a disciple. He became somewhat flustered. The elders of the 9th sect naturally wouldn't dare to do anything to him. But the disciples, that's another matter. He gritted his teeth and stepped back, saying, "All right. Regarding today's incident, let's say I was at fault first. I apologize to you. Let's drop the matter here and no one is allowed to mention it again. He felt utterly humiliated. A proud heavenly mechanism pavilion disciple being forced to apologize to a disciple of the Ninth Sect. A true man knows when to yield. Get through today's calamity first, and later he would repay in double. Farewell. With that, he prepared to leave. Jiang Fan lunged forward, his eyes flashing with a cold light. Apologize? After injuring so many Nine-Sect disciples and causing the death of several, you think an apology will suffice? Who gave you that courage? Initially, he thought they were just selfish enough to let the Beast King in. Teaching them a lesson should be enough. Who knew? What he saw first was a ground full of injured and corpses. Moreover, the unrighteous sight of a heavenly mechanism pavilion disciple humiliating the female disciples of the Ninth Sect. Is this still a disciple of the heavenly mechanism pavilion? Would mere punishment suffice? The skinny young man grew both shocked and furious. He shouted, "Enough! I've already apologized, yet you keep pushing. Do you really think I'm afraid of you?" Seeing Jiang Fan showing no intention to retreat. He gritted his teeth and his eyes flashed green again. This was his pupil's skill. It could cause a momentary mental lapse in an opponent. Even if the duration was short, a duel between experts could be decided in a moment. If used well, it provided enough time to kill an enemy. However, this skill damaged the eyes. It could only be used once a day. He had used it on Li Shiqian earlier and now endured the severe eye pain to use it again. At the same time, a dagger fell from his sleeve. A vicious look appeared on his face. If he struck, he would strike to the end. When Jiang Fan was in a daze, that would be the moment his heart got pierced by the dagger. Whiz, in an instant, the green light entered Jiang Fan's eyes. A soul attack. Jiang Fan became extremely wary, but it seemed to have no effect. It felt like a tiny ant bit his soul. There was no damage at all. However, the skinny young man did not retreat but advanced, holding the dagger and trying to stab his heart. Jiang Fan's eyes turned cold. He raised his sword and stabbed, from a distance. The sword chi of the purple sword mercilessly pierced through the young man's eye. Ah! The skinny young man let out a shrill scream. Covering his endlessly bleeding eye, he was in excruciating pain, seeing Jiang Fan's sword approaching. He hurriedly revealed his identity. "Stop! Stop! I am a disciple of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. You can't kill me." As he said this, he quickly pulled out the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion identity token hidden in his cloak. "This is my identity token?" However, just as he took it out and held it in front of Jiang Fan, the purple light flashed. His arm was cut off at the shoulder and the token flew out with the severed limb. "What identity token? I didn't see anything," Jiang Fan said coldly. "All I heard was you confessing to being a bandit." The skinny young man was furious. "How dare you?" with a splatter as a purple light flashed in his eyes. He found that his body suddenly felt lighter and his vision began to spin uncontrollably. He saw the sky, the snowy ground, and then in the snow he saw a headless body lying straight. Immediately, his vision plummeted to the ground and was forever swallowed by darkness. Jiang Fan wiped the blood off the purple sword and stored it back into his space storage device. At that moment, Liang Feiyan rushed over. Just in time to witness Jiang Fan beheading the man in black, she exclaimed in shock, "Junior brother Jiang, this will cause big trouble." That's a disciple of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Injuring them was one thing. Killing them was something entirely different. However, upon seeing the ground filled with injured Nine-Sect disciples and even 3 mutilated bodies that were unrecognizable, her face turned icy. "These damn bastards! They deserve to die?" She immediately understood why Jiang Fan executed them. If it were her, she would kill them too. Jiang Fan said quietly, "The people of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion will come, and the elders of the Ninth Sect will handle it." "We don't need to worry," Liang Feiyan said angrily. "They harmed and killed so many people. Do those bastards' elders still have the face to come? Where are the others? I will make them pay in blood." Jiang Fan said, "No rush. Let's settle the injured first, and when someone takes over, we can then seek our revenge." Xia Chaoge was already tending to the wounded. Their injuries were severe. Regular healing pills were ineffective. Xia Chaoge didn't hesitate and fed them the life-saving, revitalizing pills given by Jiang Fan, one by one. Finally, she supported Li Shiqian and fed her the last revitalizing pill. Her injuries were the lightest. She quickly healed at a visible rate. "Thank you, junior sister Xia," Li Shiqian said gratefully. Then, she saw Jiang Fan not far away. Her eyes lit up, and she stumbled towards him, throwing herself into his arms. She hugged him and whimpered aggrievedly. Junior brother Jiang, if it weren't for you, I would have died in humiliation, sob, sob, sob. Jiang Fan was speechless. This woman, why did she keep hugging him, especially when Xia Chaoge was watching? She slightly pouted and whispered, "You still don't like being called a gentleman among the flowers." Liang Feiyan was both amused and annoyed. Annoyed that Jiang Fan was indeed popular among beauties. Amused because actions speak louder than words. Indeed, he didn't just have a misleading name, but a fitting nickname. Jiang Fan's face darkened. He reassured Li Shiqian briefly and detached from her quietly. He stood at the mountaintop, looking towards the other side of the boundary mountain. He could vaguely see the hordes of demons trying to climb the mountain. Many disciples of the Nine Sect were preparing to resist. The tragedy that occurred here cannot repeat, once someone came to take over. Jiang Fan decisively headed down the mountain with Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan on the slope. Zai Liushu looked serious. The beast tide is formidable. Fortunately, the chief of the Heavenly Sound Sect is here. He glanced sideways at Fu Keohun, who was sitting with his legs crossed. On his knees rested an ancient zither. Compared to the time at the New River, Fu Keohun seemed to have transformed. Not only had his cultivation reached the 3rd level of core formation, but even his sound path technique had significantly improved. During the recent assault by the Ape Beast Kings, Fu Keohun's zither tuned killed over 10 Ape Beast Kings on the spot. The efficiency left Zai Liushu drooling with envy. "If you keep talking like this, I'll leave." Ouyang Jun, playing with 2 powerful cloud-burst iron balls, laughed and scolded. Zai Liushu smiled wryly and said, "Senior brother Ouyang, stop teasing me. You are the one who has made the most gains on the front line in recent days. I might underestimate anyone, but not you." The young master of the 1,000 Refinement sect, Ouyang Jun, had joined the front line this time, and immediately showcased the humble but effective combat style of the 1,000 Refinement sect. Numerous powerful hidden weapons at the core formation level were scattered like they cost nothing. Wherever there was a Beast King, that's where they were thrown. One wasn't enough, so they threw 2, still not enough. Then double the amount and focus on that spot. Many formidable Beast Kings died indignantly under his hidden weapons. In these few days, he had slain over 30 Beast Kings, leading by far. Ouyang Jun looked enviously at Fu Keohun, just joking. "My hidden weapons efficiency is no match for senior brother Fu's. In just 2 days, he's almost caught up with my kill count. His sound waves reveal and disable Beast Kings, perfect for fighting multiple enemies. Even the disciples of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion can't outdo him." Fu Keohun, not without pride, feigned modesty. "You 2 chiefs are too kind. There are many more powerful than me. I don't deserve such praise." At that moment, a voice that sent shivers down his spine came. "Oh, it turns out you are guarding this place." Fu Keohun turned his head in disbelief, a nightmare-like silhouette reflected in his pupils. Keohun jumped reflexively, staring at him intently. His breath became erratic. He could never forget. For a century, as the strongest sound path prodigy in the Nine Sect land, he was easily surpassed in sound path techniques by an unknown disciple from the Green Cloud Sect. He also couldn't forget. By the New River, as the chief disciple of the Heavenly Sound Sect, he had been miserably defeated by a waste known for having no spirit root. It was the great elder who, in humiliation, exchanged his own life-bound magical treasure for Fu Keohun's life. Such humiliation made Fu Keohun feel as if he had gone through a nightmare. Over the past 2 months, whenever he closed his eyes, scenes of unbearable humiliation would flash before him. It was precisely this humiliation that made him grit his teeth and strive forward. Miraculously, he consecutively broke through to the 3rd layer of core formation. His sound path techniques advanced by leaps and bounds, successfully comprehending the first form of the tiger and dragon roar technique. The whole sect was thrilled. The Supreme Elders all came out of seclusion to offer their congratulations. A single setback had forged the present him. He asked himself if his strength had already equaled that of Liang Feiyan or even Jin Zhongming. As for Jiang Fan, he had probably been left far behind. Now meeting Jiang Fan again, he felt mixed emotions. Jiang Fan sneered, "What, still holding a grudge?" Fu Keohun had thought that when he met Jiang Fan again, he would avenge his shame. But now seeing him in person, he felt a sense of relief instead. He was already a top-level prodigy in the Nine Sect land, comparable to Liang Feiyan and Jin Zhongming. His battle achievements had already washed away his humiliation. There was no need to challenge a weaker opponent to prove himself. "It's all in the past," Fu Keohun said indifferently. "Besides, I have you to thank for my achievements today." today. Jiang Fan looked at Fu Keohun, slightly surprised. Zai Liushu, who had witnessed their past grievances, kindly reminded, Junior brother Jiang, senior brother Fu has recently made great strides in his strength. His cultivation has reached the third layer of core formation, and he has mastered the ultimate technique of the Heavenly Sound sect, the Tiger and Dragon Roar technique. He recently displayed great power while targeting the Beast King of the Monkeys. After a pause, he added, Senior brother Fu no longer holds any grudges. Junior brother Jiang, please also set aside past grievances and assist senior brother Fu in killing the enemy. Joining forces will be beneficial for you. Oh, Fu Keohun had only reached the first layer of core formation initially. In just 2 months, he had broken through to the third layer of core formation, and he had even comprehended the Tiger and Dragon Roar technique. This progress was indeed miraculous. As for Zai Liushu's attempt to smooth things over, Jiang Fan smiled, Senior brother Zai, you are being too kind. What happened that day was settled that day. There's no need to talk about setting aside anything. Later, we'll all fight the beast tied together. The number of beast kings isn't too many. We should be able to handle them with our combined efforts. Fu Keohun frowned slightly. This guy wasn't surprised at all by his rapid increase in strength. Though he claimed not to care about the past, he still hoped to see some shock or fear on Jiang Fan's face. Could it be that Jiang Fan had also made significant progress during this time? The thought appeared only briefly before Fu Keohun dismissed it. His progress was explosive even within the nine-sect land. Hardly replicable. Jiang Fan, at best, might have reached the second level of core formation. Realizing this, he began to lecture with the tone of a stronger individual. You've just arrived at the front line. Don't underestimate these beast kings. Their strength ranges from the first to the second layer of core formation and might not seem very powerful, but they are adept at teaming up for attacks. They are far more challenging than a single red-scaled evil flood dragon. He deliberately pointed out the previous red-scaled evil flood dragon that Jiang Fan had slain, meaning don't get overconfident because of your past achievements. Zai Liushu touched his nose. He also felt that Jiang Fan was a bit blindly arrogant. The incoming beast tide had no less than 30 beast kings. With just the 3 chief disciples plus Jiang Fan, if they could take down 20 of them, that would already be an outstanding achievement. To capture all of them was somewhat overconfident. Swoosh, at this moment. 2 figures arrived in succession. They were Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan. The 2 surveyed the surroundings and said, We didn't see a trace of those guys. The 3 split up to search, but found nothing. Jiang Fan wasn't surprised. They must be hiding, trying to replicate the situation at the mountain peak. When we hold off the Beast Kings, they'll make a move from behind. Liang Feiyan nodded. We'll follow junior brother Jiang's lead. If they don't come, fine. If they dare to, we'll make sure there's no return for them. Junior sister Xia, senior brother Liang. Fu Keohun was instantly thrilled. Though he couldn't understand what the 3 were discussing, the arrival of these 2 made him ecstatic. He glanced at Jiang Fan and finally understood the source of his confidence. It wasn't that Jiang Fan's strength had improved significantly, but that Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan had joined, especially Xia Chaoge, as the peak fighting force among their peers in the nine-sect land. Her joining was enough to ensure the defeat of the beast tide before them. Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan nodded to the 3 chief disciples present, then stood on either side of Jiang Fan. It seemed they considered him the leader. This scene caught the sharp eye of Yang Jun. He asked with confusion, This junior brother Jiang, which sect are you from? Why have I never seen you before? In his mind, such an excellent elite disciple, he should have met him before. Why was he so unfamiliar? Jiang Fan noticed Yang Jun as well. This 1,000 refinement sect genius craftsman was memorable to him. With a slight turn of his body, he revealed the Sorrow Frost sword on his back. Jiang Fan said with a half-smile, Young Master Ouyang, have you forgotten me so soon? Yang Jun then noticed the Sorrow Frost sword. Immediately, he recalled the mysterious masked youth at the small disciple trade fair in Desire City. This was the individual who, with a few moves, had crippled Sun Keazong with sheer physical strength. Later, he exchanged the silver-winged Thunderbird's claw for the high-grade magical artifact Sorrow Frost sword that Yang Jun had personally crafted. So it's you. Your name is Jiang Fan? Yang Jun slapped his thigh. I've been looking for you. Do you still have the silver-winged Thunderbird's claws? Those materials were tremendously useful. However many you have, I'll take them all. The silver-winged Thunderbird's claws contained a trace of the Thunder attribute. This enabled him to successfully craft a rare Thunder attribute high-grade magical artifact. The elders of the Thousand Refinement sect were ecstatic over it. Even the Supreme Elders came out to claim it. Jiang Fan chuckled, "Where would I find so many silver-winged thunderbirds?" Ouyang Jun was deeply disappointed. I had prepared many good things." Jiang Fan was very pleased with Ouyang Jun's magical artifacts. Moreover, he didn't believe that Ouyang Jun only had high-grade magical artifacts. He pondered, "I may not have the silver-winged thunderbird's claws, but I do have a more advanced claw. Just not sure if you have something of equal value for exchange." During his cultivation in the Sword Forest, the sky-devouring tiger attacked Jiang Fan and had a portion of its claw cut off. As one of the 4 great demon kings under the demon emperor, its claw was worth a great deal. Ouyang Jun shook his head, sighing, "I'm only interested in the silver-winged thunderbird's claws. Other materials can be found in Sunset City. If I wanted them, I would have exchanged for them long ago. It's different now." As the war dragged on, previously scarce demon beast materials were now increasingly available in Sunset City. If you looked carefully, you could even find materials from beast kings at the 5th layer of core formation. The materials on Jiang Fan, at best, were those from beast kings at the 1st or 2nd layer of core formation. Of little use. Jiang Fan smiled meaningfully, not interested in this either. He pretended to take something out of his chest, actually retrieving a tiger claw from the heavenly thunder stone. Ouyang Jun, not having looked yet, started to refuse apologies. "But this my heavens. Materials from a 9th layer of core formation demon beast." "What?" Everyone present was shocked by Ouyang Jun's words. Fu Keohun was taken aback. "Junior brother Ouyang, are you sure you didn't see it wrong? A demon beast with the 9th layer perfection of core formation, that would be one of the 4 great demon kings under the demon emperor." The existence of a demon king of such level. Its status was equivalent to the elder Su Qingyang from the 9-sect land. It's hard to believe that someone could injure a demon king. And how could its claw end up in the hands of a small disciple? Ouyang Jun carefully took the claw from Jiang Fan's hand. He held it in his palm, examining it over and over, his brow filled with excitement. "No mistake, no mistake. Such concentrated and undispersed demon energy, only a demon beast with 9th layer perfection of core formation could have it." "Junior brother Jiang, are you really willing to sell it?" Jiang Fan replied. "It depends on what senior brother Ouyang is willing to exchange for it." The claw of the sky-devouring tiger was of no use to him anyway. Might as well exchange it with Ouyang Jun for something good. Ouyang Jun immediately took off his bundle and opened it. "Take whatever you like." The array of hidden weapons caused Zai Liushu and Fu Keohun to look enviously. These were all very suitable for the current beast tide. For example, those cloud-burst iron balls. Their damage area was large, and they did not require much spiritual power to activate. As long as there were enough of them, even if many beast kings came, they would end up dead. Jiang Fan glanced at them and said, "Senior brother Ouyang, do you plan to exchange those for my demon king's claw?" The items were good, but clearly not enough to exchange for the claw. Ouyang Jun gave an embarrassed smile. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "Junior brother Jiang, come here for a moment." He walked behind an ice spike, speaking mysteriously. Jiang Fan followed, only to see Ouyang Jun carefully take out a necklace from around his neck while avoiding the other's attention. Then he gently muttered some kind of spell. A flash of white light later, a palm-sized, 5-colored stone appeared in his hand. It was extremely heavy. As soon as it was taken out, Ouyang Jun's palm couldn't hold it. With a thud, it fell to the ground. The earth shook, drawing curious looks from Fu Keohun and others. Jiang Fan was stunned. He bent down to pick it up. Under his hands, he was slightly startled. With his physique strength, he had to use both hands to hold it up. And holding it in his arms was extremely strenuous. After a short while, he couldn't maintain it and had to put it down on the ground. "What kind of material is this stone? It's so heavy." Jiang Fan was full of amazement. A mere fist-sized stone felt to him like a small mountain. Ouyang Jun looked at him with an odd expression, marveling. "Junior brother Jiang truly has extraordinary strength. You can actually move it so easily. This isn't just a stone. It's a mountain originally named the 5 Magnetic Yuan Mountain." Mountain. Jiang Fan looked at the palm-sized stone, confused. Ouyang Jun said, "Though it's so small now, it was once a small mountain 10 zhang high. It was refined to the size of a fist by a nascent soul great power." Hiss. Jiang Fan was slightly taken aback. A magic artifact personally refined by a nascent soul great power. His eyes slightly heated. "What's the level of this item?" Ouyang Jun's gaze faltered slightly. Its level, When intimidating an enemy, you can treat it as a spiritual artifact to scare them. But in use, treat it as a high-grade magical artifact. What kind of statement is that? Ouyang Jun awkwardly said, "To be honest, the 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain is indeed a true spiritual artifact in level. However, the conditions to activate it are extremely harsh. It requires the soul power of the nascent soul realm and a high level of soul manipulation skills. Not to mention the current pavilion master of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Even he came to try activating this spiritual artifact but failed. The pavilion master's soul power was sufficient, but his manipulation skills hadn't met the requirement." Hearing this, Jiang Fan's heart couldn't help but pound. His soul power, though it might not be at nascent soul level yet, shouldn't be too far off. As for soul manipulation skills, Jiang Fan, who practiced the Taiyan soul technique, most likely met the requirement. Of course, he couldn't show this. Instead, he showed slight dissatisfaction. "So you mean it's a useless spiritual artifact?" Ouyang Jun awkwardly said. "It's not that it's useless. Though its full power can't be unleashed, you've seen its heaviness. If used properly, it could easily crush a 5th level of core formation opponent to death. Granted, someone like you with extraordinary strength would be needed. For others, even if they wanted it, I would have to consider if they could even lift this mountain." Jiang Fan's heart was already pounding crazily. What is a blessing from the heavens? This was it. A spiritual artifact delivered to his doorstep for free. He furrowed his brow, seemingly hesitating, muttering, "Exchanging the Demon King material for a stone to smash people. It feels like a loss." Ouyang Jun anxiously said, "Junior brother Jiang, consider it as me owing you a favor. This time I came to kill demon beasts. Afraid of dying unexpectedly, the sect left my treasures at the sect. I only carried some enemy-killing and defensive artifacts. This 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain was meant to be taken to the giant sect, as an elder there wanted to buy it. I took it with me. I really don't have any other valuable items to exchange." This 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain, sitting in the 1,000 refinement sect for centuries, was useless. The sect had long intended to dispose of it, trying to sell it many times, but no one was interested. Only when Fan Xingkang, the second elder of the giant sect, wanted to exchange for it did the sect agree, handing the mountain to Ouyang Jun to bring along, to discuss the price with Fan Xingkang. Now, seeing Jiang Fan offer a piece of highly valuable Demon King material, Ouyang Jun's heart was moved. Such material could be used to refine a top-grade magic weapon. It was a precious treasure rarely seen in the 9-sect land. The price Fan Xingkang could offer was far incomparable to the beast claw. Jiang Fan pondered for a while, then said, "Fine, considering your sorrow, Frost Sword has helped me greatly. This exchange is temporarily settled. I hope you can compensate me with 1 or 2 high-grade magical artifacts later." Upon hearing this, Ouyang Jun was overjoyed and immediately said, "Junior brother Jiang is so forthright, how can I be stingy? Forget 1 or 2. When I return to Sunset City, I will personally create 4 high-grade magical artifacts for you." Jiang Fan nodded. He handed the beast claw to Ouyang Jun, then picked up the 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain. Seeing this, Ouyang Jun kindly said, "Junior brother Jiang, this item is too heavy to carry around. If you trust me, I can temporarily keep it for you. This time out, the sect gave me a mini storage device specifically for the 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain." Jiang Fan showed a look of envy. "I guessed it, that necklace is a space storage device." Ouyang Jun said proudly, "This was discovered along with the 5 magnetic Yuan Mountain by our ancestor of 1,000 refinement sect. Though the space is only the size of a fist, but in the 9th sect, only our 1,000 refinement sect has a space storage device." After a pause, he said, "Come on, put it into my necklace." Jiang Fan said, "No need to trouble you, I have my own way." As he spoke, he struggled to hold it to his chest. Then he relaxed his hands and took a breath. Watching Jiang Fan's empty hands, and then looking at his chest, Ouyang Jun blinked. It took him a while to react, shocked. "You have a space." Before Ouyang Jun could finish speaking, Jiang Fan stopped him. He smiled mysteriously. "I asked senior brother Ouyang to keep this a secret." Ouyang Jun hurriedly covered his mouth. His eyes were full of astonishment, as if he was seeing Jiang Fan for the first time, looking him up and down in surprise. "It seems I underestimated you, junior brother. You even have a spatial storage device. I can hardly believe it," Jiang Fan said. "It was obtained by chance, just a bit of luck." "You call this just a bit of luck?" Ouyang Jun felt an urge to hit someone. He sourly asked, "How big is it?" Jiang Fan casually said, "Not too big, about the same as yours." Upon hearing this, Ouyang Jun felt a bit more balanced inside. Still, he sighed with envy. Junior brother Jiang's fortune is truly enviable. At this moment, the boundary mountain trembled slightly. Both their expressions changed. They immediately returned. Looking down, they saw a group of giant spider-like demon beasts with 8 legs, climbing up the smooth ice mountain with great agility. Their speed was even faster than that of the monkey beast kings. Fu Keojun glanced at Jiang Fan and said, "Junior brother Jiang, did you bring your zither?" Jiang Fan nodded. "I did." "Why?" Fu Keojun's long hair flew as he pointed at the swarm of approaching spider demon beasts and said, "That day, in the spirit beast sect's main hall, your peace, tiger, and dragon roar made me look dull in comparison. Today, let's compose a piece together. Let's see who is superior, how about it?" Jiang Fan had no interest in competing. However, these spiders varied in size. There were over 30 Beast King level ones, and countless Foundation Establishment Realm ones, easily over 100 in total. To annihilate them as much as possible and prevent them from crossing the boundary mountain, the most effective method was indeed a sonic attack. "There's no need to compete, let's just do our best." Saying this, he went behind an ice spike. Shortly after, he returned holding a long white jade ancient zither. The others exchanged glances. When did Jiang Fan hide a zither behind the ice spike? Only Ouyang Jun had a look of shock on his face. He naturally knew where the zither came from. He felt amused and annoyed and said, "Junior brother Jiang, is this what you call not too big?" It could fit a whole zither. It was several dozen times larger than the storage device on his neck, and clearly that space could fit more than just one zither. Jiang Fan touched his nose and coughed drily. "Senior brother Aoyang, the demon beasts are here. Let's concentrate on sniping the demon beasts." Ouyang Jun really wanted to punch this guy. But the demon beasts had arrived. He would have to talk about it later. He immediately took out a large pile of cloud-burst iron balls, ready to fire. Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan also entered a state of serious readiness for battle. Fu Keojun pressed his hands on the zither strings, ready to launch an attack at any time. 30 Beast Kings, along with nearly 100 Foundation Establishment Realm demon beasts. This was the largest attack since the defense line broke. Zai Liushu said in a solemn voice, "We must kill as many of the powerful Beast Kings as possible, to ease the pressure on the second line of defense at the mountain peak." Fu Keojun said, "Don't worry, with so many experts here, not many Beast Kings will escape." At this moment, they had gathered the strongest prodigies of the 9 sect. Other than Jin Zhongming and Zhu Wancheng, everyone else was present. "Junior brother Jiang, are you ready?" Fu Keojun focused on Jiang Fan. "No problem," Jiang Fan said, inserting the long zither upright into the ground with one hand. Fu Keojun nodded slightly. The same sound-based technique. Whoever was weaker would be embarrassed. Rumble. As the ice surface shook more and more violently, finally, the spider demon beasts climbed successfully over the steep slope. The slope was densely packed with them. They were spread out widely. It was almost impossible to kill them all. They could only concentrate their efforts first on the Beast King level ones. "Attack!" Zai Liushu took the lead, shaking his sleeves. An unknown pink mist hit the Spider Beast King at the front. The Spider Beast King immediately went berserk, turning to attack the other spiders, fighting with its kin. But it was soon killed by the other Beast Kings joining forces. The first Beast King perished. Zai Liushu showed a hint of pride. Ouyang Jun, not wanting to be outdone, threw out the cloud-burst iron balls like they were free of cost. Bang, bang, bang. A series of explosions resounded. The spider demon beasts dodged one after another. But 2 Beast Kings and 5 or 6 Foundation Establishment Realm spider demon beasts couldn't escape, being blown to bits on the spot. "Double kill," Ouyang Jun said proudly. Liang Feiyan would not be outdone, thrusting out her long sword, unleashing an extremely sharp sword technique. Sword chi crisscrossed, cold light blazed. In an instant, 3 Beast Kings died violently on the spot. 3, Liang Feiyan showed a faint smile. Xia Chaoge followed closely. It was unclear what technique she used, but her palm struck out from a distance. The surrounding spiritual energy rapidly gathered to form a tangible handprint. It flew out fiercely. Wherever the handprint passed, whether ice spikes or rocks, whether Foundation Establishment Realm spiders or Beast Kings, they all turned into blood mist. Where the handprint passed, it left a long, bloody groove. Everyone present was stunned. Liang Feiyan gasped, "An Earth-level high technique. Junior sister Xia, when did you learn this?" In the canyon, Xia Chaoge clearly hadn't used such a move. Jiang Fan also looked a bit surprised. First her movement technique, now this high-level palm technique. These new techniques seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. It seemed that after advancing to the 5th level of core formation, Xia Chaoge had suddenly become proficient in many new techniques. It appeared she had many secrets hidden within her. Fu Keo Jun praised, as expected of the number 1 in the 9th sect, instantly killing 5 beast kings and dozens of Foundation Establishment realm beasts. Now it's up to Liang Feiyan and me? Everyone turned their eyes towards the two of them. They were also curious, with the same score whose power would be greater. Fu Keo Jun's eyes sharpened and he vigorously plucked the zither strings. The attack was not just on the demon beasts, but also on his past, ashamed self. With today's battle, he would no longer have inner demons, because he had completely surpassed Liang Feiyan. Henceforth, the light boat had passed through 10,000 peaks. The sound of the zither rang out like 100 tigers descending the mountain, sometimes near, sometimes far. It gave an overwhelming sense of oppression. Back then, it was this very sound from Liang Feiyan that crushed him. Now, he could play it too, and with his current cultivation far surpassing Liang Feiyan's at that time, the power was even greater. But just when everyone was amazed by the oppressive scene of tigers being unleashed, suddenly, a dragon's roar burst forth, a mighty sound that shook the 9 heavens, completely suppressing the roars of the 100 tigers. Everyone seemed to see a majestic dragon roaring into the clouds. Its roar caused the seas to surge and the skies to tremble. Immediately after, the roar turned into a terrifying sonic wave, smashing mountains and shattering rocks as it spread in all directions. Bang, bang, bang! Where the sonic waves passed, the Foundation Establishment realm spider demon beasts exploded into blood mist on the spot. The Beast King-level spiders, swept by the sonic waves, also burst apart like ripe watermelons, splattering blood everywhere. And Liang Feiyan's zither music continued to play. The dense and overwhelming sonic attack swept through all the demon beasts on the battlefield. After several rounds, all the Foundation Establishment realm spiders were dead. The Beast King-level spiders were mostly dead on the spot. Only a few stragglers at the back, 5 or 6 of them, barely escaped alive. But they were also covered in injuries, skin torn open and flesh gaping. They hurriedly retreated. Clang! Liang Feiyan pressed down on the zither strings. The scene fell into a deathly silence. Everyone stared at Liang Feiyan without blinking. They all looked as if they had seen a ghost. The cultivation techniques of the sound path were known to be suitable for group battles. But no one had ever thought that with the strength of one person. Liang Feiyan could easily defeat nearly 100 demon beasts of various sizes present. Among them, 15 were Beast King level, and more than 70 were of the Foundation Establishment realm. Ouyang Jun wanted to say something. At this moment, he found himself speechless. Zai Liushu looked at the corpses of the demon beasts scattered on the ground, inhaling sharply. Junior brother Jiang, is your sound path technique the same as senior brother Fu's? He had seen Fu Keohun in action before. But the power of Fu Keohun's zither was not even half as strong as what he had just witnessed. Everyone couldn't help but look at Fu Keohun. Upon seeing him, all showed expressions of surprise. They saw Fu Keohun staring blankly at the ancient zither on his lap. The strings of his ancient zither, all 7 of them, were completely broken. Liang Feiyan's sound path technique was too domineering, directly disturbing Fu Keohun's zither sound. As a result, the strings vibrated violently. Ultimately, unable to withstand the strain, they snapped. Fu Keohun raised his head with difficulty, his face pale as he looked at Liang Feiyan, his voice trembling. Junior brother Jiang, what was that just now? Liang Feiyan replied, the second form of the tiger and dragon roar technique. Fu Keohun's heart felt as though it had been struck hard. It was actually the second form. He had barely surpassed his limits under the state of realizing his shame, comprehending the long-lost tiger roar. He had thought he had surpassed Liang Feiyan. Who would have known Liang Feiyan had long been at the dragon roar level, which he couldn't even touch. Thinking of competing with Liang Feiyan, he felt his old face flushing with embarrassment. With a bitter smile, he said, Junior brother Jiang, you really don't give me a chance to surpass you. Liang Feiyan chuckled, just luck. We should quickly gather the demon cores. We don't know when the next wave of the beast tide will come. Everyone snapped back to reality, hurriedly preparing to clean the battlefield. But at that precise moment, Liang Feiyan's heart was suddenly alarmed. With no hesitation, he clutched his ancient zither and strummed the strings forcefully towards the empty, snowy ground behind him. Clang, the sound waves swept across. In an instant, in the empty space ahead, a succession of groans was heard. Even blood splattered out. Shortly after, the space in several areas distorted. 4 figures in black robes appeared out of thin air. Moreover, they were only a step away from Jiang Fan, Liang Feiyan, Fu Keohun, and Aoyang Jun. They held various sharp weapons in their hands. Clearly, they intended to harm them. Liang Feiyan and the other two broke out in a cold sweat, hurriedly retreating to create distance, and shouted, "What do you want to do?" Jiang Fan's face turned cold. "Do you even need to ask? Of course, they want to injure or kill us and take what belongs to us." He slammed the ancient zither onto the ground. Coldly staring at them, "I've been waiting for you for a long time." Although he had been dealing with the beast tied all the time, his attention had never left the area behind him. Thus, he was able to sense the danger in time. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Liang Feiyan finally understood that the 4 in front of them were the Tianji Pavilion disciples who had caused the bloody incident at the peak of Boundary Mountain. He laughed angrily. "What a shameless group. When the beast tide arrived, you didn't act. And now that we've killed them all, you want to ambush us and take advantage of the situation. Being Tianji Pavilion disciples, how disgraceful can you get?" Stabilizing their chaotic breaths, the 4 black-robed figures stood firm. The tall black-robed leader glared angrily at Jiang Fan. If it weren't for his sudden action, they would have succeeded by now. He sneered, "You can talk nonsense all you want, but don't put words in our mouths. We never said we were Tianji Pavilion disciples." Again, it was the same old trick. Even if the whole world knew they were Tianji Pavilion disciples, so what? They just wouldn't admit it, initially thinking this trickery would infuriate the opposing few. Unexpectedly, Jiang Fan surprisingly let out a slight sigh of relief. "Now that you've said that, I'm relieved." He glanced at Xia Chaoge and Liang Feiyan. "How should we divide them?" Xia Chaoge locked her eyes on the tall, black-robed leader. "Of course, 5th level of core formation versus 5th level of core formation." Liang Feiyan shrugged. "I'll take one of the 4th levels of core formation." Jiang Fan nodded. "Then I'll handle the remaining 2. Afterwards, he spoke to Zai Liushu, Fu Keohun, and Aoyang Jun behind him. "Senior brothers, please step back, to avoid getting your clothes dirty with their blood." Fu Keohun was taken aback. "What are you going to do? They are Tianji Pavilion disciples. Not to mention whether you can defeat them. Even if you could, do you intend to kill them?" Jiang Fan laughed. "Senior brother Fu, didn't you hear just now? They denied being Tianji Pavilion disciples. So, anyone attempting to assassinate the 9 sect disciples could only be bandits and robbers. Killing bandits and robbers, what's wrong with that?" Hiss. Fu Keohun and the other 2 were secretly alarmed, though his words made sense. They knew these were Tianji Pavilion disciples. It was an open secret. "Arrogant," sneered the black-robed leader. "Kill us. Just because you know some sound path techniques, do you think you're invincible? Earlier, we didn't use our spiritual power because we were in stealth. With spiritual power protecting us, your sound waves wouldn't harm us at all." Jiang Fan said nothing. He swiftly plunged the ancient zither into the snow, and simultaneously drew out the Sorrow Frost sword, his eyes turning cold. "Attack!" Xia Chaoge immediately activated her movement technique, accelerating towards the tall, black-robed leader. "Xia Chaoge, haha, you think having the title of 9 sects #1 disciple allows you to challenge me? Ignorant! Fiery Luo seal!" He formed a seal with his hands, and a substantial flaming mark appeared out of thin air, shooting towards Xia Chaoge like lightning. "Annihilation palm!" Xia Chaoge calmly struck a palm. The massive, tangible palm print reappeared. Meeting the flaming mark head-on, it crushed it effortlessly. "What?" The tall, black-robed leader's face changed. He quickly dodged. "Earth-level high technique? How is this possible?" He finally realized Xia Chaoge's strength was not to be underestimated, hurriedly ordering the other 3. "You quickly finish those 2 brats, then we'll attack Xia Chaoge together. This woman is a significant threat." Hearing this, Xia Chaoge couldn't help but smile secretly. Soon they would find out who they should truly fear. Before the other 3 black-robed figures could act, Liang Feiyan actively engaged one of them in combat. Within 5 moves, Liang Feiyan was already at a disadvantage. The difference between the 9 sect disciples and the Tianji Pavilion disciples quickly became apparent. At the same realm, Tianji Pavilion disciples surpassed the 9 sect disciples in terms of cultivation techniques, combat experience, and the use of magic artifacts by a substantial margin. "With this, you think you can challenge us? Overestimating your abilities. Junior brothers, quickly deal with the boy with the zither. This battle has no suspense." The other 2 black-robed figures cast malicious glances at Jiang Fan. "Boy, stand still, you might die more comfortably." One of the black-robed figures wiped off the remaining blood from the corner of his mouth. A lowly nine-sect disciple dared to injure me, and still dares to provoke us. Senior brother Long, you watch from the side, I'll handle him. With that, he fiercely kicked up a large amount of snow, blocking Jiang Fan's vision, seizing the opportunity to throw his poison dagger. It had to be said. Even though these Tianji Pavilion disciples had despicable characters, they had one thing the nine-sect disciples could learn. That was, no matter how much they underestimated their enemy, they still gave it their all, to avoid falling into a pit they didn't see. Unfortunately, they came up against Jiang Fan. This boat, whether it wanted to flip or not, had to flip. Using poison? What a coincidence, I know a little bit too. Jiang Fan raised his hand and caught it. His palm moved as swiftly as lightning, grabbing the dagger aimed at his chest in his palm, amidst the swirling snowflakes. The opponent let out a cold smile. How stupid, dare to catch a hidden weapon so recklessly. You have no experience at all. Learn your lesson and don't make such a low-level mistake in your next life. However, the expected scene of Jiang Fan being immediately poisoned by the dagger did not occur. On the contrary, Jiang Fan, seemingly unharmed, flashed a cold light in his eyes. You should try my poison too. The poison pill in his body trembled, and a stream of deadly poison seeped from his palm, attaching to the dagger. Then, Jiang Fan casually threw it back. Swish, the dagger shot back towards the black-robed man even faster, like a bolt of lightning. The opponent, still surprised that Jiang Fan remained unscathed, reacted a moment too late. Though he dodged in time, he was still a bit too slow. The dagger grazed his waist. His clothing tore, revealing a faint line of blood. The black-robed man looked down and said with relief, "Fortunately, there's no severe bleeding. The poison that entered my body is mild. It's no big deal." But before he could finish his sentence, he suddenly convulsed, foaming at the mouth. His body stiffened and his eyes lost focus. From the onset to death, it was only a matter of breaths, so quickly that he didn't even feel the pain, dying silently. The senior brother, Long, was stunned. For a moment, he didn't react. The junior brother, who was just speaking well, suddenly died the next moment. When he confirmed the breath had completely ceased and he was truly dead, he let out a grief-stricken roar. "Junior brother Wang?" The tall, black-robed man fighting Xia Chaoge turned pale upon hearing the bad news. He roared in anger, "Junior brother Wang!" His eyes instantly turned red, filled with intense killing intent. Kill him. Kill him for me? Dare to kill their heavenly mechanism pavilion disciples. This was rebellion. The senior brother Long regained his senses, angrily drawing a purple blade. "I'll kill you!" Swish, however. Suddenly a flash of light appeared before his eyes. An icy bright sword appeared before him like instantaneous movement. He was startled. "Sword control technique?" Quickly raised his sword, deflecting the Sorrow Frost sword. Just as the crisis was averted, there was another flash before his eyes. A powerful finger force struck his heart through the air. Thud, there was a muffled sound. His chest was pierced through entirely, leaving a bloody hole. His body staggered, soon drained of all strength, collapsing to the ground. After a few twitches, he completely lost his breath. "Junior brother Long!" The black-robed man fighting Liang Feiyan roared with bloodshot eyes, in what he thought was a certain victory fight. Within just 10 breaths, 2 junior brothers had died. Without exception, they were all instantly killed. This made him completely furious. He struck Liang Feiyan away with a palm and roared as he prepared to kill Jiang Fan. "Thunder Dragon Lightning Leg!" His response was Jiang Fan's lightning-fast kick. "Seeking death!" he roared, throwing out both fists. The fist power of the lower earth-level cultivation technique vibrated the air intensely. Crack, crack, however. When he clashed with those legs, his arms, like fragile wooden sticks, broke into several pieces. The surging thunder light mercilessly penetrated his chest. The black-robed man's eyes bulged in disbelief as he fell stiffly to the ground. The thunderblast had torn through his chest, leaving it charred and blackened. Liang Feiyan grumbled. "Junior brother Jiang, why did you steal my kill?" Jiang Fan said, "You are too slow." He couldn't reveal their identities to these people. They had to finish quickly. He scanned his gaze and settled on the tall, black-robed youth. At this moment, he had gone from furious to shocked. He knew the strength of his 3 junior brothers very well. Though they were at the 4th level of core formation, they could totally fight against the 9-sect martial artist at the 5th level of core formation. Even if they couldn't win, they could still hold for dozens of rounds. But against Jiang Fan, they were completely helpless and got killed instantly one after another. He couldn't help but shout towards the mountain peak behind him. "Liu Feng, where the hell are you?" Messing with a woman still not done yet. "No need to look for him. He's waiting for you below." Jiang Fan casually tossed. A dark head rolled to the feet of the tall, black-robed man. Liu Feng, the tall, black-robed man gasped. Liu Feng's strength was not much weaker than his, especially proficient in a powerful pupil skill. When facing a higher realm enemy, if he seized the opportunity, he could counterkill them. But was he dead? Seeing the god of death, Jiang Fan, swiftly approaching, he panicked. A fifth level of core formation, Xia Chaoge, was already a lot to handle. Now there was another strong opponent. How could he still dare to hide his identity? He shouted loudly, "Stop! I am—" He deliberately raised his voice, transmitting it across the boundary mountain. So that everyone would know, he revealed his identity. If Jiang Fan still dared to kill him, it would be a deliberate murder of a heavenly mechanism pavilion disciple. Even an immortal couldn't save him. However, before he could reveal his identity, a substantive soul nail shot out from Jiang Fan's forehead. Swish, in an instant, it pierced the tall, black-robed man's soul. "Ah!" The black-robed man clutched his head and screamed in agony. He felt death coming, a very real death. At this moment he regretted it, regretted going too far, provoking revenge from the 9 sect disciples. But more than that, he felt terrified. He hurriedly shouted, "I am from the heavenly." Thud, Xia Chaoge's eyes flashed. Her palm laced with sword light swept across. The tall youth's head flew off. Jiang Fan frowned and said, "I should have done it." He had killed several heavenly mechanism pavilion disciples already. Better to direct the trouble towards himself alone. No need to involve Xia Chaoge. Xia Chaoge sheathed her sword casually and said, "Don't worry. My uncle will save me." Jiang Fan was speechless. "You think I'm an omnipotent immortal?" Saving someone from the heavenly mechanism pavilion, that required extraordinary skills. Xia Chaoge cheekily smiled. "I don't care. I'll just wait for my uncle to save me." Jiang Fan sighed. Things had come to this. If the heavenly mechanism pavilion really sent someone, they'd take it one step at a time. He glanced at the 4 corpses and said, "Let's patrol around and see what other bandits and robbers are lurking in Boundary Mountain. Let's kill them all." He raised his voice intentionally, so that everyone in Boundary Mountain could hear. Instantly, there was movement everywhere in Boundary Mountain. Invisibly, some sneaky people either retreated into the borders or entered the demon race territory, no longer daring to stay in Boundary Mountain to snatch merits. They didn't want to be mistaken for bandits and killed by the 9 sect people. Jiang Fan said indifferently, "These people refused to listen to good advice, had to shed blood to learn their lesson." At this time, Li Qingfeng and Lu Ziyunian heard the commotion, coming one after another. Seeing the 4 corpses and an additional head, they all gasped. The later arrival, Lu Ziyunian, looked at Li Qingfeng in shock. "Elder Li, I admit I underestimated you before." These 5 were the strongest and most vicious heavenly mechanism pavilion disciples mixed in Boundary Mountain. They didn't take them seriously at all. Lu Ziyunian had wanted to move against them for a long time, but didn't have the courage. Unexpectedly, Li Qingfeng showed no mercy and eliminated them all. This made him look at Li Qingfeng in a new light. Li Qingfeng's eyelids twitched. "Don't talk nonsense. I just arrived too." Lu Ziyunian was puzzled. "Then who did it? It couldn't have been one of our disciples, could it?" Liang Feiyan, who failed to kill a beast king, sulkily stepped aside and said unhappily, "Let me clarify, it's not me." Fu Keohun, Zai Liushu, and Ouyang Jun shivered and stepped aside. "Wasn't us either." Xia Chaoge secretly giggled and joined them aside. "Not me either." Thus, only Jiang Fan was left in the middle. He glared at the 2 ungrateful guys, helplessly said, "All right, it was me." Dare to shift the blame to Jiang Fan. Chapter 472. Chapter 472. Dare to shift the blame to Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan. He alone killed so many heavenly mechanism pavilion disciples. Among them, the leader was even a 5th level of core formation expert. No, they must have ganged up to bully Jiang Fan and are now letting him take the blame alone, right? Before Li Qingfeng could lose his temper, Lu Ziyunian could no longer tolerate it and said, "Xia Chaoge, what you're doing is not right. Clearly, it was you who killed them, so why are you pushing all the blame onto Jiang Fan? If you dare to do it, you must dare to take responsibility. You need to live up to the title of the #1 prodigy of the 9 sect." Xia Chaoge blinked her eyes, stunned, but it was really Shishu who killed them. "All right, I did kill one of them, but the others were all slain by Shishu." Lu Ziyunian got a bit angry and reprimanded, "Did my words go in one ear and out the other for you? You tell me, who would believe that Jiang Fan alone killed 4 heavenly mechanism pavilion disciples without you?" Even if you want to shift responsibility, you should find a more plausible reason, right? Xia Chaoge was speechless and said, but it was really Shishu. Shut up. Lu Ziyunian was truly enraged. What was wrong with Xia Chaoge today? She was like a completely different person than usual. He wasn't even blaming Xia Chaoge for killing the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples, so there was no need to push all the blame onto Jiang Fan, right? Liang Feiyan said in astonishment, Elder Lu, you're mistaken. They were indeed killed by junior brother Jiang. Even the one at the 5th level of core formation had the assistance of junior brother Jiang. No sooner had the words left her mouth when Elder Lu glared angrily. You shut up too. Though I'm not from your myriad sword sect, I still need to say something as an elder. Look at yourselves. How disgraceful you are. 2 well-known senior brothers and sisters teaming up to frame a junior brother. Shame on you being the chief of myriad sword sect. I really meant what I said. Liang Feiyan felt like spitting blood. How had he framed Jiang Fan? Li Qingfeng wore a stern expression and let out a light snort. Elder Lu has already reprimanded you, so I won't say more. But there better not be a next time. Jiang Fan doesn't have your powerful abilities or background and can't afford your way of messing around. Then he patted Jiang Fan's shoulder comfortingly and said, don't be afraid. With Elder Lu and me here, you don't need to wrong yourself and take the blame alone. Jiang Fan covered his mouth and stole a laugh. He nodded and said, thank you, Elder Li, and thank you, Elder Lu. Thank you both for speaking up for me. Liang Feiyan clenched his fists in frustration. This guy. He was vicious outside, but behaved like a good boy in front of the elders. He got the best of both worlds. Even Xia Chaoge couldn't help stomping her feet lightly. She felt both annoyed and amused. Her attempt to tease Shishu backfired and resulted in a scolding. Fu Keohun, Zai Liushu, and Yang Jun exchanged glances. You live long enough and you'll see everything. Obviously, Jiang Fan was the one who led. Yet the elders stubbornly refused to believe it. But come to think of it, if they hadn't witnessed Jiang Fan's terrifying combat skills firsthand, it would indeed be hard for them to believe he did all this. All right, you all continue. Lu Ziyunian looked around and said, there were just quite a few people leaving, better check if they left any hidden dangers. Li Qingfeng glanced at the scattered bodies and said, these bandits deserve to die. Burn all the bodies, don't search them, just burn everything. With a meaningful reminder, he then disappeared. The group immediately got busy. They piled the bodies together. Yang Jun discovered the black-robed leader had a bulging chest and said, they seem to have a lot of demon cores on them. Fu Keohun and Zai Liushu's eyes lit up simultaneously. They didn't dare to act rashly but looked at Jiang Fan, who was holding a torch. Don't even think about it. Jiang Fan gave the 3 a look. Have you not figured out why Elder Li specifically told us not to search the bodies? Without searching the bodies, they're unidentified bandits and robbers. Their deaths are justified. If we find Tianji Pavilion Disciples tokens, then we'd be the ones who killed Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Disciples. Boundary Mountain was full of disciples. Who could guarantee someone wasn't watching their actions? Yang Jun shivered. He then realized the consequence. If no tokens were found, their elders could deny everything to the 9th sect, claiming they only killed some bandits and robbers and not admitting to having killed Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples. If the tokens were found, there would be no excuses, so to avoid trouble they had to burn everything directly. Fu Keohun and Zai Liushu also clicked their tongues. There were indeed such serious implications. Luckily, Jiang Fan understood Li Qingfeng's implied message. Otherwise, they would have been in deep trouble. They looked around and noticed some scattered human figures. If they had searched the bodies just now, they would have surely been seen. Liang Feiyan felt a chill down his spine, realizing how troublesome these bodies were, and said, burn them, junior brother. Xia Chaoge walked over and snatched the torch. Let me do it, she said. Otherwise, if the elders hear about this, it would again be me and senior brother Liang teaming up to bully Shishu and do bad deeds. She glanced sideways at Jiang Fan and gave him a resentful look, then set fire to the bodies. Jiang Fan chuckled, who told you not to stick up for each other? As he spoke, his expression changed slightly. Because the long-dormant Black Mirror evil spirit suddenly spoke without warning. Be careful, boy. Something unclean is nearby. Ever since he returned to the Green Cloud sect, perhaps fearing being discovered by the sect's experts, the Black Mirror evil spirit had not shown itself again. Now it suddenly spoke in a low voice, startling Jiang Fan. I'm going to rest. You guys clean up the battlefield, he said, then turned and walked to a snowdrift some distance away. He took out the black mirror from his chest. The Black Mirror was among the few items not put into the Heavenly Thunder Stone. The reason being, he had to be cautious of the evil spirit inside. "I thought you were dead," Jiang Fan remarked. "You've kept silent for so long." The evil spirit laughed bitterly. "You're eager for me to disappear so you can take over the Black Mirror, aren't you? Wishful thinking I can stick around for another 10 years or so." Jiang Fan scoffed and said, "What do you mean by something unclean? You'd better explain clearly. Don't let me get into danger and die here. It's freezing here. If you're buried with me, no one will ever find you." The evil spirit grumbled internally. This kid had the nerve to bring it up. If it hadn't been for him, the Black Mirror would have long absorbed enough human blood to restore its yuan energy. "If I wanted you to die here, I wouldn't have warned you," the evil spirit said seriously. "I sensed some dead energy just now. It seemed to be coming from those corpses. This place isn't safe. You should leave immediately." Corpses? Jiang Fan looked back at the snowfield behind him. Weren't those the corpses of demon beasts? "What danger do corpses pose?" Jiang Fan asked, puzzled. The evil spirit chuckled. "Corpses themselves aren't dangerous. But what if those corpses could move?" Fan's pupils slightly contracted, and he muttered, "A moving corpse?" The evil spirit looked towards the distant demon race and said, That moving death aura can't be wrong." As an evil spirit, its perception of dark auras far surpassed that of humans. The two elders were completely unaware, yet it sensed clearly. Jiang Fan wore a serious expression. Could it be a puppetry technique or some kind of spell? He remembered Skybreaking Canyon, that disciple surnamed Wu from the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Thinking about it made him feel it wasn't quite right. The Beast King leader controlled by Wu Manyu was a living creature, not a dead corpse. "It's the demon priest," the evil spirit provided an answer. "It seems the demon race is serious now." Priest. Jiang Fan had never heard of such a being in the demon race. The evil spirit said, "Years ago when ancient giants ravaged the continent, causing a mass extinction of living beings. The number of living armies decreased drastically. To replenish the army numbers, a highly talented sage created a powerful divine skill. It could make the corpses of dead creatures move again. Although their strength was less than 1/10 of when alive, as long as there were enough corpses, theoretically, the dead corpse army could be endless." Jiang Fan was slightly shocked. Back then, living beings of various races went to great lengths to resist the ancient giants. Hundreds of feet of the Great Wall, an army of dead corpses, which weren't unprecedented marvels. Later, with the fall of the ancient giants, that sage also perished due to excessive soul depletion, 10 years after the war ended. Before he died, he intended to pass down the divine skill. The other sages stopped him, fearing that if it fell into the hands of evil cultivators, the catastrophe it could cause would be not much less than that of the ancient giants. That sage agreed to be forever buried with the divine skill. Upon hearing this, Jiang Fan was puzzled. Then how did the demon race's priest get this skill? The evil spirit smiled meaningfully. "The demon race's priest is the sage's descendant." At this point, it stopped talking, because the answer was obvious. That sage hadn't truly eradicated the divine skill. He had acted selfishly, leaving the skill for his descendants. Jiang Fan didn't know what to say. Calling him selfish, he had sacrificed his life for living beings, which was great and admirable. Calling him noble, for the sake of his descendants, he left such a huge hidden danger. Now, many years after his demise, this hidden danger was about to erupt on the battlefield between humans and demons. After a long pause, he sighed slightly. "This is human nature, isn't it?" The evil spirit chuckled. "You don't have to worry too much. The divine skill created by the sage is not easy to cultivate. If his descendants truly had the ability to fully harness the divine skill, they wouldn't be content with the position of a demon priest. They would have long since united the demon race, becoming the supreme demon." That was also true. Compared to the other races, the one who should fear the priest line's power more would be the demon emperor. A single mountain cannot accommodate 2 tigers. The demon race could only have 1 king. If the priest were truly that powerful, it wouldn't be the demon emperor leading the demon race, but the priest. Of course, don't underestimate them either. The evil spirit looked into the distance. Since the priest dared to lead the dead corpse army, they must be confident in taking this place. Before their strength is fully grasped, it's best you temporarily stay away from here. Jiang Fan's thoughts churned. This dead corpse army clearly exceeded what the disciples could handle. It was no longer his concern. He had to notify the elders and let them decide. But how to tell them about the dead corpse army? Li Qingfeng and Lu Ziyunian, 2 strong core formation late-period cultivators, hadn't noticed. He, a small disciple, had foreseen it in advance. Whether they believed it or not was secondary. It might even make them suspect Liang Feiyan. If only I could catch a live dead corpse, Liang Feiyan muttered. Nothing would be more convincing than an actual live dead corpse. However, he didn't want to risk approaching those corpses. Nor did he want to take Xia Chaoge and the others into danger. What should he do? Hey, you 9-sect disciples have some skill, huh? Cut down so many beast kings. A coquettish voice suddenly came out of nowhere. Then 3 burly, shirtless, middle-aged men with vacant expressions suddenly emerged from the snow beneath. They swiftly cut open the abdomens of 3 beast king spiders, extracting the demon cores. Xia Chaoge and the others who were harvesting demon beast corpses turned pale at the sight. They all attacked the sudden strong men who snatched the demon cores. However, once they struck, those 3 shirtless middle-aged men immediately countered. The explosive power was actually at the 5th level of core formation. Except for Xia Chaoge, who blocked the attack, Liang Feiyan was struck and flew back, feeling an intense metallic taste in her throat. Fu Keohun and the other 3 groaned in pain, severely injured. Who are you? Liang Feiyan wiped blood from the corner of her mouth, her heart racing. Could they also be Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples? But they seemed too old to be disciples. Wait, Liang Feiyan just noticed their vacant expressions, as if they had no consciousness of their own. Her face turned cold. Is it you? He. A string of charming laughter echoed. Wearing a burgundy robe, Wu Manyu leapt onto a small snow mound, looking down at them. Her long black hair, curvaceous and voluptuous figure couldn't be concealed by the loose robe. As the cold wind blew, the robe clung to her body, outlining her slender legs, snake-like waist, and ample chest. Unlike last time, Wu Manyu was unmasked this time, showing her true face. It was a face with blindingly fair skin. An oval face, peach blossom eyes, a straight nose, and red lips like freshly bloomed rose petals, delicate and soft. Zai Liushu couldn't help but be stunned. What a striking beauty! He had seen countless women. Such looks, though not as dazzling as Xia Chaoge and Liu Qingxian, were enough to rank in the top 10. This senior sister, I am Zai Liushu, chief disciple of the Desire sect. Is there some misunderstanding between us? As the junior, I wish to mediate the situation. Liang Feiyan scoffed. Junior brother Zai, take it easy. She's a femme fatale. I, junior sister Xia, and senior brother Jin were nearly killed by her. Your skinny body won't stand a chance. What? Even Xia Chaoge, Jin Zhongming, and Liang Feiyan together were nearly killed. Zai Liushu trembled and quickly retreated. Wu Manyu held 3 small black flags, her peach blossom eyes scanning them. She angrily said, there's a debt to be repaid. I don't want to cause you trouble, but where is that Jiang kid? I am here to settle accounts with him. Over the past few days, she returned to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Firstly, to heal. Secondly, to bring over her 3 5th-level core formation puppets, to avenge the grudge of that day. She found it increasingly infuriating. The more she endured, the more she felt shortchanged. The beast kings she had painstakingly gathered, nearly 2,000 merit points worth, could be exchanged for 2 nascent soul one-strike jade tokens, all seized by a small disciple of the 9 sect. Even if she were Bodhisattva reincarnate, she couldn't bear it. Moreover, she had always been ruthless by nature. This time, bringing 3 5th-level core formation puppets, plus her own spiritual power restoration also at the 5th level. Combined, it meant 4 5th-level core formations. That Jiang guy, even with 3 heads and 6 arms, was no match for her. Speak quickly. Don't blame me for being ruthless if you don't. Showing her true face today meant she intended to clear accounts openly. Even if the 9 sect elders came, she wouldn't back down. Today, come what may, she'd harshly deal with that scoundrel. At this moment, she suddenly felt a hand wrap around her slender waist from behind. She looked down, clearly seeing nothing there. Invisibility. She was startled and reflexively elbowed backwards, but a cold sensation touched her neck. A cold, long sword rested on her throat. Wu Manyu's body stiffened instantly, afraid to move, and she angrily asked, "Who are you?" A playful voice blew lightly in her ear. "You came specifically to find me, and you ask who I am." "It's you, you brat!" Wu Manyu trembled all over, letting out an angry scream. But just as she was about to make a move, the sword at her neck tightened slightly, leaving a shallow mark on her fair neck, threatening to draw blood. "I have a name, you can call me Jiang Fan. Be polite, you can also address me as junior brother Jiang," Jiang Fan said indifferently. Wu Manyu was driven insane with anger. Her fists clenched tightly and her full chest heaved violently, saying, "If you have the guts, don't resort to sneak attacks. Let's fight fairly, Jiang Fan chuckled. Senior Sister Wu is quite humorous. Leaving aside the 3/5 level of core formation puppets you control, you yourself are a 5th level of core formation powerhouse. While I am just a lowly disciple of the 9 sect. To fight me fairly, that's quite a joke. What? Your strength is lowly, a disciple lowly enough to instantly kill a 5th level of core formation beast king just by glaring. Jiang Fan, I have no idle talk with you. I only give you 2 choices. First, return all the demon cores that belong to me in the sky-breaking canyon. Second, we fight to the death. Wu Manyu's eyes turned cold as she spoke seriously. Jiang Fan unhesitatingly said, I choose a third option. That is, Senior Sister Wu hands over the 3 black flags. And I let you go. Ha ha ha, Wu Manyu sneered coldly. She turned to glance at the empty space behind her, saying disdainfully, Kill me. Do you dare? I haven't hidden my identity. Do you know the consequences if you strike with that sword? She didn't believe it. Jiang Fan had the courage to kill a heavenly mechanism pavilion disciple. Doing so would bring about a great disaster. Suddenly, the arm holding her waist tightened, pulling her into a scorching embrace. Her slender shoulders, smooth hips, and long legs pressed tightly against Jiang Fan. She angrily and shyly said, What are you doing? Jiang Fan murmured almost into her ear, Look ahead. Ahead, Wu Manyu lifted her head to look. A pile of roaring flames, billowing black smoke, emitting a pungent odor. Vaguely, she saw what was burning. It was actually 4 or 5 bodies. Her pupils contracted, she said in shock. Are you burning bodies? Disciples of the 9 sect sacrificed, Jiang Fan said meaningfully. Disciples of the 9 sect who sacrificed themselves are taken back to their homeland for a proper burial. Only bandits of unknown identity are cremated like this. Hiss, Wu Manyu's body trembled. She drew a cold breath, saying, You killed Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples. How could there be bandits daring to act recklessly in the Boundary Mountain? Moreover, what would bandits rob here? Demon cores. Without a doubt, the ones killed were Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples hiding their identities. Jiang Fan shook his head. No, they were just a group of people who treated lives as worthless, causing the deaths of several 9 sect disciples. Everyone would want them dead. Senior Sister Wu, earlier you also almost caused the deaths of 3 top 9 sect disciples, right? Hearing the last sentence, Wu Manyu felt a bit frightened. This Jiang Fan was truly lawless, even killing Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples without hesitation. She hurriedly said, Don't wrong me. I did design to have them consume the Beast King's strength for me, but I didn't know they were 9 sect disciples. Jiang Fan said indifferently. Just a single I didn't know to brush it off. Senior Sister Wu speaks so lightly. Then if I kill you, can I also brush it off by saying I didn't know? The fire is still burning. One more body won't be too much. Saying that, the sword slowly moved. The cold blade cut into her skin, bringing an intense pain. Wu Manyu's eyes showed a hint of panic. Wait, just take 1 black flag. She separated 1 black flag from the 3. But the arm around her waist suddenly loosened, snatching away all 3 black flags. Then he pushed her down a small snow mound. As Jiang Fan removed the turtle breath cloak, his face revealed a joyful expression. Looking at the 3 black flags, his face showed undisguised happiness. Thank you, Senior Sister Wu, for delivering the treasure from far away. Wu Manyu fell off the snow mound, furious and ashamed. I'll send you to hell. This isn't over. She was truly infuriated. Returning with 3 puppets in a dominant manner, she lasted no more than 3 seconds, before Jiang Fan snatched away the 3 black flags. Could there be anything more humiliating? Swoosh! Her wine-red robes fluttered with no wind. Black chains shot out from her sleeves like long serpents. Jiang Fan's toes tapped the ground, using his movement technique to retreat dozens of yards. Bang, the chains smashed into the snow mound, causing it to explode on the spot. Black flames visible to the naked eye attached themselves to the shattered ice, quickly burning it away. Even without the puppets, I'll still deal with you, bastard. Wu Manyu furiously swung her hands. Black chains twisted like frenzied snakes, chasing after Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan's eyelid twitched. This woman's weapon was somewhat bizarre. The black flames were not ordinary ones. They were a type of ghost flame. If touched, it would burn not just flesh, but also the soul. Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion disciples, once at the 5th level of core formation, had extremely strong power. Without using soul secret techniques, defeating them in a normal fight would require quite the effort. Whether it was Liang Qingzhu before or Wu Manyu now, it was the same. However, Jiang Fan also had improved greatly. With a swift glance, he decisively took out the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. It was time to test this spiritual artifact's effectiveness. The moment he took it out, an incredibly heavy force pressed him down. He quickly used his soul power to envelop it, and to his surprise, it suddenly became as light as a feather under the soul power. This reminded Jiang Fan of a 9-dragon demon tripod in the nascent Soul Cave mansion. It also required soul power to lift it. But no matter how much soul power Jiang Fan used, he could only lift a fraction of the 9-dragon demon tripod. The 5 magnetic Yuan mountain in front of him, however, lifted easily. Whoosh! The chain sound shot forward. Jiang Fan cleared his mind, immediately enveloping the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain with soul power and hurled it towards Wu Manyu. "What's that? A rock?" Wu Manyu froze for a moment, then laughed. "If you really have no magic artifact, just call me good sister, I'll give you 2 pieces. But soon, Wu Manyu realized something was wrong. The 5 magnetic Yuan mountain, which seemed no bigger than a fist, grew larger with the wind. In an instant, it became the size of a small hill. A massive shadow enveloped her. More shockingly, the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain exuded a 5-colored glow with an unmatched magnetic force. Her chains, whoosh, were all sucked in, clinging tightly to the mountain. She tried to pull them back, but they didn't budge. As if they had become part of the mountain, it affected more than just her. Jiang Fan's sorrow frost on his back was suddenly pulled away, sticking to the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. Even Xia Chaoge's sword trembled violently. Her face changed slightly. She used her 5th level of core formation's spiritual power, trying to control it, resulting in a clanging sound, breaking her grip and getting forcibly absorbed. Liang Feiyan's sword on her waist, Fu Keohun's chin in his hands. Even Ouyang Jun's hidden weapons were all sucked in. In no time, the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain was covered with artifacts. Ouyang Jun's eyes nearly popped out. This is our 1000 refinement sect, the spiritual artifact that hasn't been activated in hundreds of years, the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. My face, he could hardly believe his eyes. For hundreds of years, no one had been able to activate it. Even the heavenly mechanism pavilion master had been helpless with this spiritual artifact. But Jiang Fan had managed to activate it. Moreover, he had triggered one of its special abilities, seizing soldiers. It was said that the higher one's soul power, the stronger the seizing soldier's ability. Just imagine. In the heat of battle, suddenly snatching the enemy's weapon, wouldn't that create a one-sided situation? Furthermore, seizing soldiers was just one of the abilities of the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. Ouyang Jun only now realized that Jiang Fan's seemingly disadvantageous exchange had been entirely an act. He had foolishly been grateful to him, and was even going to forge 4 high-grade magic artifacts as compensation. "Jiang Fan, you bastard," Ouyang Jun said, half angry, half amused. "You've screwed me over so badly my own parents wouldn't recognize me." He was so jealous that he gritted his teeth until they cracked. A spiritual artifact. This was a spiritual artifact. Jiang Fan had traded just 1 demon beast claw for a mighty spiritual artifact. He had never in his life made such a loss that it made him feel like vomiting blood. However, he also understood that all he could do was be envious. The 5 magnetic Yuan mountain had been in the 1000 refinement sect for so many years. If they could have activated it, they would have already done so. To the 1000 refinement sect, the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain was only worth so much. But Jiang Fan's extraordinary talent allowed him to unlock the true power of the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. Envy alone wouldn't suffice, let alone jealousy, a spiritual artifact. Liang Feiyan's eyes were wide open. Hiss! This guy actually traded a spiritual artifact from Ouyang Jun. He was immediately so jealous that his eyes turned red. "I, Liang Feiyan, am openly jealous." Fu Keohun clenched his fists, utterly speechless. "Is there any justice left? Is there any law left? He gets all the good things?" Zai Liushu's heart almost shattered from jealousy. "Heavens above, can't you manage this bastard? It's one thing that he has won the heart of a peerless beauty, but he also got the first chance at a spiritual artifact. Is there no path left for ordinary people like us?" Even the usually calm Xia Chaoge, upon looking at his own bleeding hand, couldn't help but show a look of speechlessness. "Uncle's luck seems too against the heavens, doesn't it? He can even get a spiritual artifact. It's simply unfair," in contrast to their relaxed expressions. At this moment, Wu Manyu had no other thoughts, because the enormous shadow of the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain was looming over her, pressing down rapidly. "You brat! You took my weapon, I'll fight you to the death." Wu Manyu's eyes flashed with determination. taking advantage of Jiang Fan's focus on controlling the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain, leaving him with no free hand. She decisively took out a movement technique talisman and placed it on herself. Swish. She suddenly burst out with a terrifying movement technique, moving 10 zhang in a single step. Such speed. Escaping the suppression of the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain should be no problem, right? But who would have thought? Wu Manyu found herself still covered by the shadow of the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. Looking up, she couldn't help but be shocked. Clearly, she had moved 10 zhang ahead. But the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain above her seemed to have instantly teleported with her, pressing down directly. Wu Manyu was startled and flashed multiple times in succession. Yet no matter where she went, where she escaped to, the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain followed closely behind. From afar, Ouyang Jun said sourly, "This is another ability of the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain, 5 elements seeking enemy. Whether you're a peerless strongman or a common creature, as long as you have the power of the 5 elements in your body, you cannot escape the pursuit of the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. But the 5 elements, which living being doesn't have the power of the 5 elements? Gold, wood, fire, and earth might be absent, but water at least will be there, right? Unless they have no blood in their veins and no water in their stomach." Liang Feiyan was instantly numb. "This is too against the heavens, isn't it?" Zai Liushu gasped. "Unless they become a skeleton, there's no creature the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain can't handle." Fu Keohun was on the verge of tears. "How are we supposed to play this game anymore? Facing the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain might as well surrender immediately. In fact, surrender wouldn't work. Wu Manyu's multiple attempts to break through were all futile. The 5 magnetic Yuan mountain pressed down fiercely. Wu Manyu was both shocked and furious. "A broken mountain? Does your grandma really fear you?" She immediately channeled her spiritual power into her palm and fiercely struck the base of the descending 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. However, at the moment of impact, she was horrified to realize her spiritual power was completely sealed by the 5 elements' power released by the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. In other words, she now only had her physical strength left to use. But for someone who never practiced body refinement, her physical strength was no better than that of a first-layer core formation disciple of the giant sect. The result was predictable. "Ah," a miserable cry. Wu Manyu's arm bones snapped instantly. The overwhelmingly heavier-than-expected weight pressed her directly underneath. Luckily, this was a snowy area. The slightly soft snow provided some cushioning beneath her. If it had been on solid ground, she would have been compressed into a meat patty by now. Jiang Fan landed on the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain, unable to hide the look of delight in his eyes. "Indeed, I've obtained a great treasure." Seizing soldiers, 5 elements seeking enemy and sealing spiritual power. It was simply an enemy-crushing divine artifact. The black mirror evil spirit in his arms seemed to sense the outside world. Noticing the mountain under Jiang Fan's feet, it immediately cried out in terror. "The 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. Isn't this the treasure of the 5 elements divine monarch from back in the day? Am I seeing things? This is a top-grade spiritual artifact." Ah, it was actually a top-grade spiritual artifact. Jiang Fan grew even more excited. He had indeed obtained an extremely powerful magic artifact. With a faint gleam in his eyes, Jiang Fan said, "You know the origin of this mountain?" The evil spirit, overcome with emotion, said, "Who doesn't know the treasure of the 5 elements divine monarch?" Back in the day, the 5 elements divine monarch was invincible with this mountain. Countless renowned divinity transformation realm figures were defeated by this mountain, and he himself relied on the 5 elements divine light contained in this mountain to break through the nascent soul barrier and become a divinity transformation realm giant. But how did his 5 magnetic Yuan mountain end up in your hands? Kid, where did you get this mountain? This was the first time Jiang Fan had seen the evil spirit so flustered. But he couldn't blame him. Jiang Fan was almost as shocked himself. The original owner of the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain was actually a divinity transformation realm powerhouse. Calming himself, Jiang Fan briefly recounted how he had obtained the 5 magnetic Yuan mountain. "What, with just a claw of a 9th layer perfection core formation demon beast? Damn it, I was left with only a remnant soul after trying to seize a low-grade spiritual artifact like the ancient heart mirror back in the day. And you managed to exchange some scrap materials for a top-grade spiritual artifact. Damn you, old heavens!" The evil spirit was broken on the spot. The entire ancient heart mirror shook incessantly because of it. Jiang Fan touched his nose and cleared his throat, saying, "You just mentioned." that the 5 elements divine light of this mountain can help one break through to the divinity transformation realm. Please explain in detail, the evil spirit, seething, said. Don't talk to me. I never want to speak to you again in this lifetime. HMPH, with a heavy snort from his nostrils, he truly fell into a state of self-imposed isolation. No matter how Jiang Fan called out to him, it was to no avail. This old bugger, Jiang Fan, met with reluctance, looked dejected, but there were those with even more dejection at the foot of the mountain. Wu Manyu's moans of agony grew continuous. To be precise, she was expelling more air than she was inhaling, although she was fortunate not to have been crushed into a meat patty on the spot. Her internal organs and bones were shattered. It was only a matter of moments before she died. Jiang Fan raised his palm and withdrew it. The 5 magnetic Yuan mountain shrank to the size of a palm, and he stowed it into the heavenly thunder stone with his soul power. Looking at the dying Wu Manyu, Jiang Fan began to ponder. She couldn't die just yet. He still hadn't asked her how to use the 3 black flags in his hand yet.